We're live.
Way.
Has anyone?
Well, hopefully.
Well, yeah, that is the question, isn't it? Can anyone see us?
Can people hear us?
Well, we'll find out in a second, I suppose. We will bring it up on here and see if it's a thing.
Oh, what a thumbnail.
It's a great thumbnail. Hopefully people are already in the room. Anyone already here? Yeah. Ooh, that's probably just us. That's probably... Hey! We have liftoff.
Wait, I cannot read that from here, but hello! We think. Hopefully you can hear us.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It's kind of... Yeah.
Look. I think we look good, Dan.
Alright.
Why are you...
Alright. I don't want to leave you hanging.
If we got too warm, kitchen towels.
I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, welcome to the handful of people that are here. I'm assuming more on their way. We'll be tweeting it in a second. Wait a sec. Loud and clear. Good. Thank you.
That's good. We've had some technical errors, if we're honest.
Yeah.
We're obviously not recording it on these, by the way.
No, we're not. So we're just using the microphones for
getting
props.
used to it.
We're just getting used to it.
Yeah.
So we've had a bunch of technical problems. First and foremost, the camera setup we were using was super zoomed in, and it made it look like me and Chris were in a cupboard.
Which we thought about recording it in.
Yeah.
But we opted not to.
No, this seemed better. So we fiddle around with settings and different camera setups for absolutely ages. What we've ended up having to do to get it to not look like we're in a cupboard is lose the sound quality, sadly. There was a more professional capturing this sound. We're now going straight from the phone's internal sound device, which is far from ideal. So yeah, that's the way it's gonna go. We're good.
5 people watching, nice.
Yeah, I'm hoping
Quite pleased with that.
I'm fingers crossed that number is gonna go up. I would like to see more people for the Statics, Chris.
I'd be happy with 10.
To be fair,
10 would make me very happy.
I had 10 for the test the other night, so we have to at least get 11,
Yeah,
right?
one of those was me.
Right,
So
we have to get
that fucked.
We have to get 10 then.
Right. Okay.
So we have to at least match the test.
Right.
If we get less than the test,
Okay. Well,
That's
we'll
bad.
tweet it then.
I'm tweeting it. I'm tweeting it right now. So
It'll
yeah,
make all the difference.
don't judge my tweeting and my Twitter popularity.
What are we on now? 7.
7.
Boom.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll fist bump for that.
Boom.
Just going to build up all the crowd. So we're not going to quite start the Statics just yet. Give us a couple minutes to do that. I know there's a delay, which is frustrating because now we're not getting live and immediate feedback as we were previously.
So I'm still see it when the awards are going and stuff. It's all good.
Yeah. Were we ready?
Where am I? How did they hit?
We have the awards, guys. These are our nominations are in these envelopes. Very exciting.
Very exciting.
Am I taking a peek? No.
No, that's
No, not allowed. Not allowed. That's fine. I expected Chris to be Dan and Dan to be Chris.
fair enough. That's fair enough.
No.
Reasonable. Yeah.
Sorry.
You expect us round the other, or literally our faces to be different?
Well, if I get behind Chris,
We're not going to move now.
and
Make
if
it
you open your mouth open and close, and I'll just talk. So right now, Chris, this is potentially gonna hopefully look like the right voice coming out of the right mouth. Is that better?
I think that's what they wanted.
That's
the dream.
Yeah.
9. Come on.
9. Yeah, we need to hit the 10 just so it matches the thingy.
I'm feeling good about that.
I hope everyone likes the framing. We went for a high angle, more flattering.
Yeah. Required. We went, well, it got to the point where we basically went for any angle we could get. Is nearer the truth.
Yeah, we got desperate because there's a light that you can probably see in my glasses reflected. I will take the glass off when we start the proper Statics because I think that's going to be difficult otherwise. That you can see there's a light right in front of us and it was getting caught in the frame of the camera. We spent a long time making that not be a thing. So that's exciting. Right, let me tweet this thing out. I've got myself distracted here, haven't I? You fill, Chris.
Yeah, because people are waiting in anticipation for the actual awards and, of course, the song.
So, God, the song.
So Dan and I wrote the song together about an hour and a half ago. So
in about
top quality.
In about 20 minutes.
20 minutes, half an hour, but I am more pleased with it than either of us has any right to
But
be.
I have something else planned for the end of the show.
Which I'm more nervous about that than I definitely am the right level of nervous, I think.
I regret writing it.
Right.
I'm going to regret performing it.
Okay, good. Well, that's good.
That's the place to be.
Yeah, that's the ideal, that's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
That's the money spot.
The worst part about this, Chris, is I can't remember the login for the Nothing But Static Twitter feed, so I can only post it on my own.
That's fine.
The Statics are here now. Come.
I'm excited about, I was worried going in because we've been so busy with everything, about making selections, but I feel pretty confident about the selections that have been made.
I've been complimented on my shirt.
Nice.
So
Fist bump that.
Yeah.
There it is.
So with the shirt, we had a still last time we filmed the Statics, where we pose and we're like, I thought you were gonna help me recreate it.
Oh, sorry.
It's something like that. And that still went on the top banner of the YouTube channel. And when we first launched Steven University, the many creative people that listen to Steven University, two or three of them drew us. And even though I wasn't wearing the Steven shirt, they both chose to draw me in the Steven shirt. I guess because I was the Steven Universe fan at the time, and you were the chanting and screaming.
I remember. I call them the simpler times.
Yeah, they were simple. They were simple at times. You could get grumpy about things. You can't watch the video. No, you have to watch the video.
Who's not watching the video?
Because I look at Dan's face and think it's Chris.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Wow.
It's weird because for us, we've always been this way around.
Well,
no,
that's not fair. 2013.
Yeah, we briefly
swapped for a bit. What's interesting as well is we've now hit 11. What are we? You keep going fist bump, I keep going 5-5. There we go. Better. That's more impactful. So we're going to go in a second. In response to IG64's question, yeah, sound is a problem. Sorry. These mics will be recording for the podcast that we will ultimately release, but sadly, the mic we had that was connected to the YouTube feed that would have been sort of sat in the middle picking up the sound at a much higher quality, there was no way for us to get that working. So I am really sorry.
And we really have tried for the last 3 hours.
There's a reason we're so late with this. We were talking about testing from from 5:30.
When actually at 10:26, Dan went angrily, right, well I need to have a cup of tea to snap me out of this mood. So,
thanks for revealing that, Chris. I did. I gave up. I got frustrated. I had a tea tantrum, and I ran downstairs to. Yeah, you should be sorry you brought it up. It's a sore spot, if I'm being honest with you. IG64. Which, by the way, while we're here, this isn't the forum to ask this, but it's better than the potential for 10 seconds of video out of sync. You're right.
Yeah, exactly, definitely.
Tea tantrum. You're expecting Dan to be the one with the beard. Sorry, I feel like we've really, let Bianca down. Yeah. I feel like
is it all just Bianca?
Yeah, this is Bianca really got it set.
Oh, I'm really sorry, Bianca. Sorry. I don't know what. I mean, again,
we did our best to fix it, but it didn't help.
I could shave.
Yeah, the audio video is great. The audio video sync should be great because
it's the same.
Because it's the same device taking it in. So yeah, we'll start in a sec, I think.
Yeah.
Now I've tweeted it, and hopefully some people have either retweeted it or shared it in some way. I think it might just be us and this little cozy group of 11,
which is fine. I'm absolutely happy with that.
And we beat the test. That's what.
Although I've just realised we've named how many people there are. And yet one of the rhymes in the song specifically suggests a different number. That's fine. I'll wing it. Got the song lyrics here.
Oh god, the song. Right, we're gonna.
We've got to do the end now.
Yeah, all right. Let me get set up for the. So we're about to record. Well, you guys get to witness the process for recording a Nothing But Static here as well.
Yeah.
1 second though. Do I? Is it? How do? What's the? Is this the thing I normally do? No, that's not. No.
I feel like I should be filling again. If anyone's got comment along, what we are probably going to do, because obviously we're releasing this as an episode on iTunes and Stitcher and all of that stuff. So what we will probably do is do our debate between the awards and then read your comments and stuff. So we will look at choices as well and have your suggestions and kind of read out what you guys were thinking. But just so the whole podcast isn't us reading comments, we're probably going to look to you guys after each award is announced.
So, a quick question. Can you guys hear that?
Can you hear it?
Can they hear the music? Oh, yes.
Sweet.
Out loud? Reasonable? Perfectly audible. Cutting out a bit, but sounds fine now. Okay, we might be ready to go soon in a second.
Do it.
So, before we do that though, rewind that, and also line up one other thing. I forgot how much work goes into this podcast, Chris. We were so stressed out trying to get this goddamn stream work.
I know,
And now none of the podcast stuff is actually prepped and ready to go. Also, we don't often play the music live. I often edit that in afterwards, so it's a bit weird for me to... But...
Oh, you can do that. Nice.
Oh yeah, we're doing it properly.
Okay.
We're not messing about. Let me have a
Right.
sip of my drink and then we'll go.
Right.
I'm determined to at least...
Oh.
determined to break everything. Tea! I've still got tea, Chris.
I know. I'm excited for you.
I'm excited for me
Where
too.
are you keeping your drinks?
Underneath that table there.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
Chris
I'm so worried.
Chris thinks I'm going to
Please.
break everything.
Yeah. And then even if his tea from his movements break his equipment, it's still be like, oh, I've broken your house. I'll still get the blame.
And the check.
But that's redundant.
Replace this bitch.
I'll be like, sorry, we can't have a DJ at the wedding. I've got to replace Dan's.
Say that at the wedding.
Although Mac chargers are a fortune, even if you just broke the charger, isn't that
it's
like 100 and whatever quid?
Yeah, no, they are mental. I don't. Yeah, but did you see this week the
No.
stand? There's a stand for their new like MacBook screen or something, and it's like $1,000. It's just the stand. It's a piece of metal and plastic.
ridiculous.
It's horrendous. Anyway,
Right.
let me. That can go there. Just prepare. Oh, that definitely can't go there. Are you prepared?
There we go.
Can I ask what you just did to prepare? Was it wipe the sweat off your face?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my preparation. It was slightly mocking, but also, I was trying to have a genuine wipe behind.
By mocking.
By mocking.
That's what I thought. I'll see right through you, Chris.
Yeah.
Right, so I think we're going to be fine here. Yeah, that's alright. That's not going anywhere. Okay.
Okay.
Let's do a podcast. So, for those of you who want to know the process, now, when we record this, because it's two separate mics, we have to sync them up at a certain point, and this is what we normally do. Oh, hello. Just. Oh, they're still very. Oh, damn, yeah, I have gone full cosplay. It's just to make.
Is it still? We're now reading the comments again. Is it still surprised that I am you and you you are me?
Still from still being.
Alright, I'm really Bianca.
We feel bad, but we
Yeah,
shouldn't
I
do.
I
Like,
genuinely.
this is a form of body shaming, I'm certain.
Yeah.
Right, let's do the podcast. So the way we normally do this is we get both mics recording at the same time. So I do a countdown: 3, 2, 1, go. Then we check we're both recording, and that the sound is picking up at a reasonable level, which it is. And then,
Checking that. Yep.
and then Chris does something we call the clap talk clap. Now, Chris, demonstrate for the lovely people the clap talk clap.
Little bit of talking, hitting 12. I'm hitting 12. Little bit more talking while you do the headphone switcheroo.
No, the headphone
Which I know,
switcheroo.
you wanted it to be accurate.
Oh yeah. So normally I have to
I'll
switch
leave
my
it
headphone
accurate.
source, so Chris does that so I can check. Okay, so we're recording. Let's do a podcast then. I'm so excited.
I love the statics.
It's time for the 8th annual Statics.
No, pause that. No. Oh, right, that's not how you're gonna write. Sorry, I thought that was your like, it's time for the 8th annual statics. Bum, 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 bum. I was like, that's a bit, needs to be, needs to have more gumption.
That was for these people.
Right, okay. It's the 8th annual statics.
Hello and welcome to the 8th annual Statics. How exciting is this, Chris?
I am very excited.
Because, you know, It's a wartime, baby.
I love the Static so much.
I know. You know what? It's in your face. How much? We're actually streaming this year.
We are streaming it
So
live.
if you want to go to the YouTube channel, listen to the podcast version of this, and watch Chris's happy puppy face, it is. I mean, it's glorious.
According to some listeners, disappointing face. This is not your face.
Yeah,
We've had complaints.
We've quickly discovered an issue, which is that some listeners have felt that we were the other way around, and they can now see us and tell us that that's the case.
But honest with you, Dan, let's be honest. Everyone's here for the introduction song.
They're not.
So let's...
Alright.
Right, well, actually, shall we... do you want to do one of your brief recaps? Take up about an hour explaining what the Statics are?
I can do it in...
You did it the other day. You literally went, I'll be really quick this time, and explained something in like 10 minutes.
I don't know what you're talking about,
I'm
Chris.
talking about every brief explanation you ever give on this podcast.
Right.
But go on,
That's
you want to
fair.
explain what the Statics are?
Okay, so, the stat...
On the... Oh no, we're still live? We're still
Still
live,
live.
carry on.
Don't panic about that.
I won't panic about that
Just
again.
Ignore it. Because we can't let that disturb the podcast too much. And also, if you want this to take 10 minutes, that will help. So we do awards every year. And the basic premise is that we have the categories already chosen. We both choose a nominee. And then we debate between us which of our two choices should be the winner. Because the first year we did it, we just sort of...
We did.
It wasn't as
The
most interesting part of the podcast happened not on microphone. So yeah, we learned our lesson. It's locking up for some people. It's freezing for everyone.
It's now moving. Maybe it's because you were playing the music and.
Well, no, that's
Obviously,
not
we
against
don't
the
see
internet.
You were playing it through YouTube, which is on the internet.
I suppose. Well, I tell you what, let's hope that doesn't become a problem.
Is it now working for people?
It's okay now. Great.
Okay,
Good.
awesome.
Thank- But earlier it was problematic. Okay, we need to keep an
Maybe
eye
it
on
was-
that.
Maybe it was the music.
Who knows?
Apologies.
Yeah, so, we wrote a song because the premise became, we started taking it quite seriously, and that's kind of the problem, because we then decided that if it's a show, it needs an intro
It
song.
needs an intro song.
And we've written one in 30 minutes, and it's terrible.
I don't think it's terrible. I am
I don't remember the melody, that's
more
not great.
proud than I. Yeah, because we rehearsed this loads and then had all the technical problems and haven't rehearsed it since.
Four times is not loads for a song we wrote.
I'd have done it twice, so it's not too bad.
Let's do this then.
Oh.
This is the first and last time you'll be seeing the ukulele this evening, because while I do have something else prepared later today, it's not going to be as relevant. It's not going to, the ukulele will play into it. This is my snazzy electric ukulele.
It is pretty.
Oh, snazzy with it. There's no battery in it currently, Chris. I took it out to
Why?
save it.
Why would you take it out at all?
Good question. Good question.
Oh, can you imagine if this blows a fuse, you put the battery in and just everything goes?
The tensest battery loading into any device ever. Let's see if it works. Oh god, I can't get the back on it, Chris. It's the nerves of the statics. It's the pressure of the statics. Now, the question we have here is, are we loud enough to be heard over the music?
Yeah, so can people hear over the music? I mean, obviously, I realised that we asked that and then immediately stopped talking, so...
Yeah, we did. That's not great.
The best of moves.
That's fine for me. You're
Everyone
good.
here? Cool.
Great. We're good. We turn down
Right.
just a nudge, just to be
Yeah.
safe. All right. I don't remember how this goes, but we'll give it a.
We'll get this. I can't remember here actually. Right, let's try it.
This is going to be so bad. This is going to be the worst one we've ever done. I think that's clear.
We wrote this song this afternoon. We'll be lucky if we sing in tune. We got a notepad and we got our pen. To be honest, nothing came. We wrote this song this afternoon. Hopefully it will come together soon. But here we are, broadcasting live. Total viewers, it's not 5, 17. We had nothing. Nothing but static.
17 viewers.
That's not bad.
No. Carry on.
So we wrote something mediocre for the opener. You don't really sing this as well. We wrote something
We wrote something.
mediocre
I've lost rhyme in the song. Should we start the chorus again?
Yeah.
We
Wrote
wrote
something mediocre for the opener. We wrote something mediocre for the opener.
This is the worst we've ever done.
Wrote this song this afternoon, playing with the Wolves song fast in this. To be fair, we just want to say welcome, and now we're losing viewers by the second. They've gone up! We wrote this song this afternoon, and don't worry, it'll be over soon. We want to thank you for tuning in and tuning out when we begin. We've got nothing but static.
Let's get the chorus right this time, Chris.
So we wrote something mediocre for the opener. We wrote something mediocre for the opener. Ran out of time, lost all our rhymes. Stockbroker. We'll post the lyrics on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah, so you can hit it so they make more sense.
Sing along.
Horrible. Why do
That-
we do this to ourselves?
I mean, that.
Let's see. I'm just checking the feedback. This is so professional. Yeah, great. We've gone down to 17.
No, it was 7. We briefly went up to 18. Basically, what happened there, Dan, is someone switched on the live stream during the song and then went, fuck that, and immediately left.
That's the, yeah. I'm mapping along.
Oh, shit. Refresh itself.
I'm wondering if we take that off of your Wi-Fi and put it on my 4G.
We can give that a go.
Yeah,
We're gonna give that a go.
We're gonna give that a go. Hopefully you guys can hear us. Oh,
So-
I'll cut this bit out of the podcast.
May edit this out of the main podcast.
Yeah. Looks and sounds great here.
Dan's doing that now. He just wanted to stand up and.
I've not lost a noticeable amount of weight.
I think you have. I think that's
So-
good, man.
Someone did hug me the other day and then said, "You've lost weight," which is a proud moment of my life. Right.
Is it worth moving the amp as well? I don't know if there's any kind of.
No, the amp won't be there. It's off anyway. There's no power to it now. Okay, hopefully this will fix the stream, guys, because what we've done is we switched to my 4G. That's going to
So
cost...
is that better for people? As the picture quality seems to be the same. So hopefully
Audio back. We're back.
we're all good.
Yeah, I wonder what, insert whoever owns the place, internet speed is. Yes, that would be...
There's my. But we tested all that, and that seemed fine. Although it is later in the day now, so
Yeah, seems smooth so far. Okay.
yeah.
Seems to
we're
be
all
okay.
good.
Okay, we've stabilised on my 4G. That'll do me. Right, so let's do the awards.
Ah, I'm pumped.
Yes! I'm excited. Right. Who wants to go first? So the first award, Chris, as you know.
Oh yes, so I can read. So the first award is the Wasting Potential Award for a potentially really good idea with really poor execution. So this one's been here since the beginning, I think. It's always the first, and previous winners: Last Resort, Mixology, Red Band Society, Fear the Walking Dead, Prison Break, and The Crossing. So
The Crossing very thoroughly deserved to win that last year.
yeah, absolutely. So Dan has chosen Manifest.
And Chris has chosen. The Yankee, you will be happy. Game of Thrones.
Okay, good. I'm glad someone will be. I feel like this is the worst choice considering we're on the internet.
Well, the best choice considering we're on the internet.
Yeah. Right. So, and I know people might be thinking, well, you only watched the latest season, so some of this may be unfair. But from what I can gather, and certainly my own opinion, I actually think, and we've not talked about this on the podcast yet, I actually think basically nearly every idea in season 8 was actually a good idea. I think. Oh, spoilers. Major spoilers for Game of Thrones.
Yeah, skip a
season
couple
8.
minutes ahead for listeners to the podcast version. You guys watching live are just screwed.
Yeah, I just see.
Sorry.
But I say the person who ended up on the throne, I think that actually makes sense if you take the angle about. Well, but the trouble is the angle they took is no one's got a better story, and it's like, well, what about the assassin that killed blank and trained for ages? What about the Jon Snow who came back to life? Ages old spoilers. So he's not got a better story. He's a good choice in the set. I'm just gonna stop trying to hide spoilers. He's a good sense in the notion that he can see the past, the present, the future, and has no interest in anything, no emotional connection to stuff. The whole thing about there not being a family heir, etc. All of that makes sense. Daenerys going batshit crazy and going power mad and becoming her father, that makes sense. Arya deciding that she, after seeing all that death and destruction, deciding not to kill anymore makes sense. Although that's just not how they played any of those ideas. Like in that one, she just has a chat with the Hound and then buggers off, and then they keep her there for all that destruction instead of linking it and weaving it in. I think that a lot of the ideas were fantastic, but the execution just felt rushed and felt poor, and it's my choice.
No, I agree with the rushed. I think we've debated this long and hard, even on the Discord for this for this channel. I totally agree with those criticisms of it feeling rushed. And I agree with you that many of the ideas are good. Bran one was not a good idea because basically he's not Bran anymore, he's an entity. They spent 2-3 years trying to telling us that he's not a person anymore. So
is it best to not have a person on the front?
There's a very potentially sinister overtone to a person who can see that everything that's going to happen and has happened. How much of this situation did he manipulate to put himself on the throne? Is he a malevolent force? The problem is though, Chris, they didn't do any of that in the show.
Hence, a good idea,
not a
poor execution.
Not really though. Because
that's a fascinating idea.
Is there that idea?
That's a villain on the throne.
But that's it's not a poor execution. That's no execution. That is not touched upon at all. It is played in the show as what a great thing, Bran's on the throne, even though they spent the whole season telling us he's not Bran.
If you were to say to me, Chris, what's the poorest sandwich you could possibly have, and I replied, no sandwich, you'd be like, fair enough, that sounds like a pretty poor sandwich.
That's the weakest argument you've made in quite some time.
I don't think so. For us, this looks blurry, by the way, just quickly. Can people see alright? We haven't had any...
Yeah, but we're playing this back through your internet, which is clearly...
Oh, okay, cool. So everyone can see alright.
Yeah, I hope so. Let us know. Yeah, so the Bran thing I disagree with, but the crux of what you're saying, I fundamentally agree with. I think they were given the option to do more episodes, and honestly, it sounded to me like it went, nah mate, boned out, done, out of this, don't want to do this anymore, this is a lot of work.
This all sounds like poor execution.
Yeah, but I never said you were wrong on that on the whole. I was simply disagreeing. Right. So and we got off track with that.
Right.
On the whole, I agree with it as your choice.
Yeah.
I think it's a very reasonable choice for this award. It's an interesting approach to this award because we've never done it that way before. Because historically, if you look back at the other shows that have won this, it's
new,
Crossing,
new
shows.
Break,
we've kind of
Walking Dead, apart from Prison Break, but to be fair, that was a whole new season and reboot.
The word was the wasting potential award for wasting a potentially great concept on poor execution. That's the phrasing we've used, but we've treated it as if it was a potentially good premise.
Yeah.
On poor execution, because we've always gone for shows with really good premises that then didn't do anything with them or were terrible as a whole. The reason my counter argument to your thing, even though I do agree with everything you just said, is it an absolute textbook bad execution of the concept.
Thanks.
100%.
Game of Thrones next.
Nope. Yeah.
Fucking wag your finger at me.
Wag all the fingers I like at you, Chris. No. The reason I disagree is because I think when you're looking at poor execution, when you take my pick of... That's not my pick, is it?
I'm sorry, right? I'm sorry, but
Manifest.
You can't remember your own pick.
Manifest. No.
Manifest was your pick.
Manifest was all good ideas and pure, 100%, top to bottom, bad execution. Game of Thrones, season 8, whatever this final season was, still had a bunch of incredible things in it. Yes, the storylines were rushed, the pieces weren't moved as smoothly to the positions they needed to be in as the show has done previously, because they didn't have the time. That I totally agree with. But that does not change that, like, Manifest was this really great premise that literally did not work at all. The casting was wrong, it wasn't shot very interestingly, the writing was dull, it didn't delve enough into the drama of the situation. It then expanded it into a weird science fiction it didn't need to be. It could have just focused on drama. Every element of it didn't work. Whereas I think Game of Thrones, I can still point to several moments from the current season of Game of Thrones that blew my mind. Brienne getting knighted, the Dothraki charging off into the dark and all the lights going out. Oh, what a great visual. You're right, as a battle strategy it makes no sense. Let's just send them out into the darkness to be slaughtered.
The lights went out, if memory serves.
Yeah.
But the Manifest didn't... whilst it was poor execution, was it because no one expected it to be great execution? There was no uproar about the manifest. There was no
That's a good point.
kickback. Whereas with Game of Thrones, people were pissed, like really, really pissed. I think the amount it offended people, and also with the manifest, that show is always going to be done that way. There's a world where I can't. Are you gonna write me a secret note?
It's just that usually I have access to the document
Right.
and I update it as we go, so I don't have to listen back next year to
Right.
what awards.
Okay.
I don't have access to the
Right,
document
fair
this time. My laptop's otherwise engaged. So
I just
I'm going
think-
to make notes of what
Fair
wins,
enough.
and you'll be noticing
I
that
just
I'm
think-
already writing.
Poor execution just implies a real disappointment and just people being gutted. No one watched the manifest and was that disappointed. Whereas Game of Thrones, I mean, people were angry, Dan.
See, now, interesting point raised here by Cram. Chris, why does expectation matter for whether it's the case?
Because crap. And let me look at you when I stall and try and think of an answer. Why does expectation matter? Because because expectation would matter when it was really good, when it hit its highs, expectation matters. Because then it's meeting everyone's expectation. One of the best things about Avengers Endgame was that they pulled it off. When people were kind of going, how on earth are they going to pull this off? So if you can apply it in that sense, it's only fair to apply it the other way as well. I'm not sure if that would be good enough, but it was on my feet.
And I'll be honest with you, I agree with you, I think I'm going to go with your answer, and I've already written that down, because I think, ultimately, I think it's a scaling thing for me, is what brings it down to me in the end. I mean, I don't know what bollocks you just said.
That's fair.
But I think it's the scale of the
It's the scale of the thing, Bram, okay? And
it's because
oh yeah, there is that as well.
because that disappointment is indicative of the expectations set by the potential for the final season versus what they actually attained.
And that's a good point as well.
And there
because
was no excitement.
The manifest
No
was
excitement for it.
exactly what you expected. Whereas Game of Thrones promised us 6 movies, and they did not give 6 movies.
No, there were like 2 movies.
There were 2 movies and some movie epilogues.
Yeah.
An epilogue and a prologue.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Any other suggestions?
Any other comments? We had someone suggest Designated Survivor. I think that's true. I think second season Designated Survivor was really where that's exactly what they've said it looks like. Let's see. Anyone else got any things to say? Well, one could say there's a direct correlation between whether someone's expectations are met and whether it's well executed. That's from IG64. I agree.
Cool.
Yeah. So Game of Thrones wins, and we get to do our traditional.
Yeah.
And Chris went all out this year, and he got cards which is this the one we just did? Which flick really nicely. Do you want to?
Oh yeah, I'll do that. Hold on.
There you go.
That's
very
satisfying.
satisfying.
Where'd that
I have no idea. Behind the couch.
Oh well.
Anyway.
Right.
Next award.
Award 2, Define the Odds / Skin of Its Teeth Award for avoiding certain cancellations.
Yes.
Previous winners: Fringe, Community, Beauty and the Beast, Rain, Code Black, Timeless, and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Shall I go first?
You go first.
Chris has selected Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Can't get more certain than actually cancelled.
Yeah, I agree. That's
Dan-
a great choice.
Dan has selected Blind
Fantastic
Spot.
choice. So, I think you might very well win this one as well. I'll start though.
I was really proud when I came up with that choice.
That's a great option. So, Blind Spot, it shouldn't be on television still. It was a very limited premise. I don't know what contains week to week anymore. Its ratings are one of the lowest on that network. It's like 0.9 in the key demo. It's absolutely abysmal. It's lower than it was the guy in a pork pie hat. What's he called?
The Blacklist.
Blacklist. It's lower than that. Like how it's still on television at all is beyond me. And they gave it a final season to wrap itself up.
So weird.
That's remarkable.
Did anyone reply with what's still happening in Blind
No,
Spot?
no one's told us. We asked that question. Avoided cancellation award, and Gallivant didn't get one. That's a really good point. Maybe something even more crazy. I think I might have suggested Gallivant, and I think you.
Yeah,
that
I thought
happened.
against it.
Because someone's just said on the comments that Gallivant didn't have that award previously. I think that year that there was just a few weird insane
there were a few.
cancellations like this. So yeah, that's the reasoning I chose Blind Spot, because it is insane that it is still on the air. but you are not wrong. The
I mean-
idea that the Clone Wars, not just being cancelled like a year ago and revived, but cancelled for like 5 years,
And
4
no
years.
one, as much as the fans of it were wanting it to come back, I feel like no one felt it was on the cards. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to do season 7 of Clone Wars, and it's great news.
Yeah.
But I mean, certain cancellation. I mean, literally cancelled.
Yeah,
That's
to the point where
that's my
people,
main
well,
argument.
to the point where I think there was like they were releasing animatics of incomplete episodes to try and give the fans some closure.
Yeah.
So the idea that we're gonna get that closure.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm really thrilled.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad that we're gonna decide this one so quickly, but I agree with you. I think it's Clone Wars.
Clone Wars.
I think if I'd have thought of it, it would have been on my card too.
Sweet.
So Clone Wars it is.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's so satisfying. I cannot.
that's really satisfying.
Anyway, so
this is
Clone
a
Wars,
new one.
a new award,
Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
which is for a show that just get out of here. What did I put as the full title on the thing?
Oh, that's not on that one because that's the from the Dropbox. I think it was like show that just needs to
Die.
die.
Yeah, give up.
No,
and
there's
die.
there's another one that's
Oh, I don't know.
just
that.
die.
Oh yeah.
So this is a show that's been cancelled that we're thrilled and pleased has been cancelled.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because it deserved to be cancelled because it was either a bad show quality-wise or it had some other issues
Yeah. So I'll go first. So Dan has put Lethal Weapon.
for other reasons, and Chris has also put Lethal Weapon.
Because
Yeah.
basically, and it's not a criticism of the show, because
Yeah.
actually Jess and I watched this show when it was first airing and
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. But when you lose one actor, okay, fine, but if it's a duo, that's a bit odd. When you then lose the other actor, like, it's amazing to me that they even tried to keep this show going.
And
just madness.
On top of that, like all of the backstage stuff, people getting cups thrown at them behind the scenes, like the show was getting bad press left, right, and centre. The ratings were plummeting, and they just plugged on. I mean, look, respect to the network for going. Well, let's try and make this work. These people. This is their job, you know. Like, and it, you know, in a different age. I mean, in a world where like Firefly got cancelled when. You know, under those circumstances where they'd aired it out of order and mistreated the show, not advertised it properly, and then just like ditched it like unceremoniously the way they did. We live in a world now where the networks really are trying to make these things work, and I think that's great. But don't let the door hit you on the way out. Get out of here. Leave the weapon. You needed to go.
If it was
the right time.
It's not it's not a criticism of the show. If it was the show that it was when the show first began, then fine. But in its current Frankenstein sense, no. I feel like you're not being as I don't know as showmany when you're flicking the things because I'm sort of doing this.
Ah.
For
those listening,
for listeners, I just hit myself in the head.
That is maybe the greatest thing that's ever happened.
That's live.
That's the greatest thing that's ever happened in my life. Chris just threw it into his eye while cockily trying to tell me I wasn't doing it good enough.
Yeah, we're now trying. Yeah, that was good.
I hit the light though, to be fair.
Best scene is what we've got now.
Quickly before we go on that one, there were two ways I was going to look at that award, by the way, and one of them was just to look at a really bad show that was just quality. So I looked at things like Rel and the Cool Kids, just shows that were just doomed, and like you just think, why did you put it on the network in the first place? Those were my sort of alternate choices that I didn't go with.
To be fair to those shows, they were the shows that they were meant to be, whereas Lethal Weapon had turned into
I'd agree with that.
this madness,
100% agree with
into
that.
this completely different thing.
Should we have a look at the comments just quickly and just check in? See?
Yeah. Cramps put lol to me hitting myself in the head. So, cheers, buddy.
Stuff happens. Showmany apparently means masochistic. What show are we talking about now? We were talking about Lethal Weapon. For those who are asking. Cool.
Hey, 20. High five.
Oh, hey, how did we get up to 20?
Best scene.
Well, welcome, new people listening. Best scene.
So this is this best scene of the television year. So previous winners: the Broadchurch confrontation scene, Breaking Bad, Walter White's video confession, the long take fight in Daredevil, the Punisher's confession in Daredevil, the death in 13 Reasons Why, and then last year was Barry and the Why Did You Say That scene,
which is an incredible scene. And I'm prepared to lose this one this year because I really struggle to think of something worthy of choosing.
Dan has put Lady Mormont, Giant Slayer. Oh yeah.
And Chris has selected Fleabag season finale's bus stop scene. Yeah, it's a tough one, this one, because I struggled to think of a scene that really like blew me away this year, and I did think, and I did genuinely think about the opening scene of Bodyguard.
Yeah, I thought that
But
those were my two
it's
choices.
so long though. It's
I
20
thought
minutes.
it's-
If the award was best sequence,
Yeah, it's way more than
Yeah.
just a scene. Even though Netflix have put it on YouTube as a 20-minute scene, it's the opening sequence. That was my second choice, and I really did wrestle with that for a while.
so we just go with that one then. Neither of our.
Yeah, done.
We both chose
No.
it now.
But I rewatched both.
Yeah.
And the heart, the tragedy, the uncertainty.
Yeah.
It's so rare for a show to end on such a bittersweet, confusing, but at the same time not confusing.
This is just
No,
to clarify for
so
listeners, this is
so
the
it's
Fleabag
finale. So and it's the final scene, so a lot's wrapped up in it. But it's her and the vicar at the bus stop, and they both say "I love you" to each other, and that as well. So she is earnest and true for what feels like potentially the first time, and he just rejects her. He just says it will pass or whatever he says.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says it to her, and he's got the tear in his eye. And we're suspicious of him the entire time, and we don't get the resolution, but it doesn't seem to matter. And then the fox is just hilarious. Like what?
So for those who don't, there's a running joke in the series about a fox that sort of they very cleverly died down in the episode or two leading up to the finale, and then when the fox appears at the end, it's surprising and funny, and it's like what's so great about that scene is how sad and bittersweet and tragic it kind of is for everyone involved. These two people who absolutely love each other, but can never be together, and then it's just punctuated with this ridiculous joke about a fox.
But that's what's so amazing about this scene.
Which is great.
It's all these different moments.
It's so Fleabag.
But they feel like the punctuation. It actually isn't, because then she gets up and walks away. Then we have the statue, and then she gets up and walks away. And that look when she turns to the camera and shakes her head as if to say, "No, don't follow me." And she's smiling, and it feels like she's
leaving something of herself
writing.
behind. She's leaving that part of herself behind where she does drift off into the world where the show exists.
Yeah.
It is very powerful. It's a great scene.
But I mean, this is quite an epic moment.
Yeah, I mean, and that's quite, and that for you that's quite interesting because for viewers who've watched the seasons building up to this one, Lady Mormont's character was sort of slowly built up. And you learned how badass she was, and this was the final, gut-wrenching and brilliant moment for her character to go out in an incredible way. So I got all that build up too. So and for someone like yourself who skipped a couple of seasons and sort of came into Game of Thrones for the last season just to sort of see where it ended.
Shat on it
And
live
on the internet. You and everyone else.
Yeah, that's true.
This scene though, I mean, this was one of my best fist pump moments of the year. I mean, I chose it purely for that reason. Like the amount of just that was so good. It was incredible. For so many reasons. It was because the way they shot it was perfect. Like the giant comes in, they're squaring off. You're like, oh, she's gonna die. Like she's immediately gonna die. And then it picks her up, and you think, okay, well here we go. And then she still manages to go down, one fighting, and two taking out a giant. And they make it seem like it's never gonna work, but it'll be possible.
I didn't think you could give a choice that would waver me, and I'm still, because I'd love to give it to both, but we can't.
Yeah.
Because also the thing you've not mentioned about that scene is the special effects are brilliant. Like it's awesome. It's brilliantly framed. The giant looks great. And I mean, to most people, they're probably thinking, yeah, well, we've seen giants and dragons for years, Chris. Just because the last time you were watching, Tyrion was getting in a box and going over the ocean. Like,
is that really what you love?
I think so. Yeah.
Amazing.
But there's so much emotion and tragedy in that Fleabag scene.
Yeah.
But is that informed? I suppose both are informed by the build-up, aren't they?
Yeah, I would say so. Because she didn't get a lot of screen time. That's kind of what's amazing about it, actually, is she was never a main character. She was never the focus of a full storyline. She sort of flitted in and out of everyone else's lives. And that's actually what made it more impressive, was that over the course of the few seasons, we understood her enough to care that much in that moment. And that's incredible writing.
This comes down to scope. Because this comes down to, Do we give it to the yeah scene, or do we give it to the you're watching in silence, stunned, wow
Yeah.
scene?
Yeah.
What are the people saying, Dan? Have they
They're
got
telling
any-
me not to just nod, but to say stuff in the mic. Chris was talking, I think, at that point. Hey, Chris, I don't know if you've noticed.
21.
21. And also, we're joined by Adam. Hi, Adam.
What, my cousin?
Yeah.
He's driving back from Manchester, so I assume someone else is holding his phone.
Yeah. he's worked for Fleabag. Yeah, but people are behind both, it looks like. Yeah. Oh, he's still in Portugal.
He's watching it from Jesus. He's still in Portugal. Oh, anyway.
Not the time to have a family reunion, really, is it?
No.
Call him afterwards or text him or something. Maybe
I
not.
don't
Have
know
the-
right now.
Yeah, there you go. 9-hour flight delay.
Oh.
Ouch.
So I was right. He was meant to be back. Anyway.
What's the not Fleabag show called? It's Game of Thrones. Sorry. Oh yeah, I never actually.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Sorry.
I just read it out. Giant Slayer. Yeah, so it's the scene where she kills the giant in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, apologies. We need to get better at that. So it's Fleabag versus the Game of Thrones scene where Lady Mormont kills a giant. She's a tiny little child lady, and then the giant squeezes her to death, but just before it kills her, she manages to take it out. So
I'm really fine with either.
I am too. You know what? I'm gonna. Do we just say?
No, we can't break the rule. No, imagine if they did that in the Oscar. We'll give it to Moonlight and La La Land. We can't.
I wasn't gonna suggest
what were you
that.
gonna say?
I was just gonna say like I'm happy to go with yours because I feel like you feel more passionately about your scene than mine. I struggle to choose mine, whereas you knew what you wanted to choose.
Yeah, I think Fleabag because the emotion of that scene is just phenomenal. It really is. I tell you what, it is the better piece of writing between these two scenes. You know, cool.
Fleabag gets it. Chris is on a roll this week. Maybe I'll win one of these eventually. Did you just cover your eyes?
Protecting myself.
Amazing.
Another simple one. Best dialogue. Best dialogue.
What does the... Oh, this is a good question we should answer now before we do this. What time frame does the show have to have aired in to be eligible? We're a little bit flexible on that, but kind of between last year's Statics and this
So
year's
it's
Statics.
June to June. The reason we're flexible is because in a scenario like last year, technically Killing Eve, for example, had aired before that in America, but not in the UK. And this year we haven't had a chance to watch I haven't had a chance to watch the 3 Black Mirror episodes. Chernobyl hasn't finished airing, I don't think, or if it has, it just has. So we basically...
So Chernobyl, for example, would be considered next year's Statics, but because we didn't get a chance to watch them before this year.
It's essentially June to June, but there's some leeway.
If something aired in June or around
Yeah,
May,
basically,
like,
yeah.
we can sort of
Mid-May to June.
Yeah.
Best dialogue, fairly simple. Previous winners, a series of unfortunate events, or The Detectorist.
They're the previous winners?
They are the previous
Good
winners.
ones. Detectorist was great. So Chris has gone for Best Dialogue. He is giving it to A Series of Unfortunate Events again.
I struggled with this. Dan's giving it to Westworld. This is one where I was struggling. I thought about Sabrina. I'll be honest.
Really?
Because they managed in the first half. They managed to make. They managed to talk about things which could easily sound comical, not sound comical.
Right.
But I went for A Series of Unfortunate Events because the dialogue in that does so much of the tone setting. And it's dialogue that could, on the page, I'm talking myself out of it. Why did you pick Westworld?
I think Westworld had problems this season. It was flawed.
So you're giving it a pity award?
No. I think one of the problems it had was that the dialogue was too good. Because they set up a lot of incredibly intricate and interesting philosophical notions through the dialogue that they then couldn't pay off in the show. Because the story was so much below in what they were doing, the pathos and the intellect of the dialogue. In the dialogue, they were raising some incredible questions about what it means to be alive, what it means to truly be unique. Is that what makes a person alive? So if you're a robot and you can be copied and there'd be another version of you, does that mean you're not really alive or a person? Because you can be copied. I can't be copied, but a robot can be copied. And it's asking all these incredibly deep and philosophical questions. And that's just like one of the ones I understood. There was so much of the show that went over my head this year. I had to start watching videos on YouTube of people explaining how clever and intricate this story that was developing was. But the show could not pay it off. But the dialogue was really just gripping, minute to minute. Everything everyone was saying was fascinating me. Me go, and what about that idea? And what about that concept? Now, the execution of the overall story, they never actually got to. You can't ask a lot of big questions if you're not then going to pick a sort of an answer you're wanting to settle on. So I think the show let itself down in the end. But as the whole season was playing out, I was just marveling every week at how clever and beautifully as well. All of that stuff discussed in a way that did not feel pretentious and did not feel out of place in the world. Like it never felt expository.
But just to play advocate, because I'm happy to give it to Westworld, but if the dialogue went over your head, is that not a negative?
No, some of the concepts went over my head.
Oh, okay.
They were delving into some really deep philosophical stuff about what it means to be alive and human and stuff, and like some of it I was just like, wow, that is. I'm gonna have to think on that one. Over my head is maybe the wrong phrase. Like I was watching YouTube videos afterwards, looking at analysis to sort of gain further understanding of what they were actually implying by some of the things they were saying. I thought it was surprisingly complex, and I really enjoyed it.
I'm happy to go Westworld then. So best dialogue, Westworld. Any complaints? Any?
No, just somebody still. Well, we're either delayed or there's not been any comments for a little while.
Okay, cool.
We're still 19 watching now.
That's the thing. So. I'm sure that.
Were they awards we've already done?
I think so.
Alright. Let's move on.
So, again, another simple one. Best show no one's watching. It's the best show that no one's watching. Previous winners are Kingdom and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Yeah, we haven't had this one for too long.
No.
It's a good one. Chris has chosen Dead Pixels. Good choice.
Dan has chosen Miracle Workers. Another good choice.
So I had a few different options for this one. I found it really tough to choose between Miracle Workers, Barry, and Happy. Happy for its ratings because
they are abysmal.
Embarrassing.
Yeah.
Barry of the three had the better ratings, but it had sort of the better quality of those shows, of those three shows. What drew me to Miracle Workers as my choice is Miracle Workers should, by all means, with the cast it had, have absolutely been a hit.
Yeah.
There's no excuse.
Yeah.
It's Daniel Radcliffe with Steve Buscemi playing God. The trailers were amazing. Why did nobody else see them? And the show delivered on its promise too.
Yeah.
It was a really great show.
So
I sort of sat down and just went, I just don't know what the excuse is for that show not being one of the biggest things on television.
It is bizarre, and it's not. I don't think it's come to the UK yet. The Dead Pixels
has got a second season. The no viewers.
Things.
Yeah, it's. Again, not for me. Do we carry on? Do we just?
Let's give it a sec.
Correctly point out that we need to think about recycling all this paper, by the way.
Yeah, we will. No, we will definitely. This is a recycling household. Just because we're chucking it now, we will absolutely put it in the recycling bin.
Good.
I said that really seriously, like directly to camera. We appear to be back now. Dead Pixels is great. I think it's hilarious. I think it's a show that people should be watching. It's similar to Miracle Workers in a way, in that it's got a really like tweetable premise. Like, I'm surprised there's not more buzz about this show.
Do you want to briefly explain the premise to listeners?
So it's a British show.
So
We have talked about it on the podcast, but it's three people playing a video game, but you see the actual video game as well, and then it's them on headsets talking. So it deals with things like...
It's a bit like The Guild.
Yeah, and it deals with actors getting cast in movies that they don't like and stuff like that.
It does a lot of like internet and fan culture.
Yeah. It's a really good show. I probably would have picked Happy if I'd have known its ratings were that low. But I think...
I mean, Happy is the lowest rated of them, but I don't think... But if we're talking about quality, of those three shows...
The weird thing is that Miracle Workers is not watched by more people. That is madness, given that premise.
Whereas a British sitcom, flying under the radar, not that uncommon.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
There are so many British sitcoms that come and go each year that I only found about when they're in their second or third season.
I think
so it's not unusual for that to happen.
I think absolutely Miracle Workers.
Miracle Workers gets
Miracle Workers gets it.
Miracle Workers is going to be our winner for the what is that? The best show no one is watching. You
Were
get that
there
for the
any?
next
Were
one.
there any comments? Were there any?
Good Girls airing in the UK. Haven't seen much
Netflix.
about it.
Good
Yeah.
Girls airs on Netflix in the UK.
Now-
Season 2's now on there.
I also looked into Good Girls as an option for that award. It does have incredibly low ratings.
It's brilliant.
But it is fantastic. But for me, Miracle Workers is a more surprising.
Yeah.
Fair. Good Girls again. It's a bit like their pixels.
It isn't most surprising show that's getting no ratings though. But yeah, it is best show. But again, Miracle Workers is a great show.
It's incredible, yeah. And I think if somebody said you can only watch one of them ever again, I would choose Miracle Workers.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
love Good Girls, but I would definitely choose Miracle Workers up to
Yeah.
2. Although Good Girls is fantastic, and I will definitely. Is Daniel Radcliffe bigger in the UK than here? Yeah, probably. I mean, he was Harry Potter.
I think it's probably even.
A movie star.
Yeah.
But I think he gets a lot of respect in this country because I think people appreciate. We back?
Missing the Daniel Radcliffe banter. The last thing you said was.
Okay.
Oh, so the audio went as well then.
Disappointing. Let me come back in slowly so I don't knock my drink over. Okay.
Right, so we appear to potentially be back. So
Let us know if we're back because we don't want to.
down to 13. That's fair.
15 people coming back on. They're refreshing it.
Oh, okay.
So we've went back to the Wi-Fi. That's gonna last, isn't it? Okay.
We did
Back
check
now.
the Wi-Fi and stuff though.
Yeah. Yeah, the audio and video freeze together. Cool. Well, that's good to know.
What was that?
The audio and video do freeze together.
Oh,
I can
good.
tell. There you go.
Cracking.
This has definitely not interrupted the flow of our annual statics.
So did people not hear the Daniel Radcliffe?
That's correct. That
Right,
was what was said.
So we were saying that Daniel Radcliffe. You're gonna have to edit the audio of this, by the way. I take it you realise.
Probably not going to be a Patapa Sunday anymore.
Daniel Radcliffe, we were saying that he gets a lot of respect because he essentially made all the money in the world and then just decided to do interesting stuff. So he's playing a corpse that farts. And I think just in media and TV circles.
That's not a joke, by the way. He literally played a corpse in a movie.
And I think in these sort of circles, people that are passionate about this sort of stuff, he gets a lot of respect for all that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
There we go. Oh, we got a bit of desync too. This has not worked out well.
We are sorry.
Right, let's carry on.
Right.
Oh, we gotta get through it. We got a podcast to make, Chris.
This is a new one, most surprising snuts show. So this is the award for the show that we didn't think would be entertaining, we didn't think we'd enjoy, but actually enjoyed quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I'll go for Dan first. So Dan has gone for The Rookie.
And Chris has chosen The Circle. Yeah.
And man, do I feel passionately about that.
Yeah. Well, The Circle. Notice I didn't get it in my Chris when I threw it. The Circle is a great choice. Neither of us expected to enjoy that show, and we were both just. It was, for those who don't actually, we should explain what The Circle is. We got someone in the listeners that enjoyed The Circle too.
Yes.
So
Love
enjoyed
The
The
Circle.
So basically, I'll tell you.
So good,
Let me
Sophie.
give you the. I mean, it was Chris's choice, but I'm going to tell you why he might be right. We'll get to The Rookie in a minute. But basically, for most surprising show, I had no interest in it. I saw adverts for it. I thought, it's kind of interesting as a concept, but it'll be horrible, cheesy schlock. It'll be a bunch of the worst people in the world just being horrible, being the worst, on television for money, and it'll be crap. It'll be Love Island, basically, which is a show that I hate. For those of you who don't know. So The Circle, but the basic premise is a reality show where a bunch of people are in different rooms, and it's they're locked into those rooms. They can't physically interact. They can only interact through a social media platform, and then they vote every so often. And it's basically a popularity contest, and the person who is least popular within the circle is eliminated until there's a remaining person who gets a bunch of money. The trick is, because it's a social media platform, not all of them were themselves. Some of them pretend to work. There was a young Welsh lady that played an 80-year-old man.
And the big one.
And the big one was Alex, who played
his girlfriend.
He took his girlfriend's pictures, but he played a girl called Kate, even though he was a bloke, and it caused all sorts of tension, and it was very, very addictive. And what happened, I remember, I sat down. Nadia had gone out with some friends that I don't like.
I mean, this is live, but you carry on.
I think that's what it was, and I had not wanted
I mean,
to go.
if you don't like them, I assume they're not going to be watching this, but...
Yeah, they definitely don't. I think that's what it was. I think. I
Right.
don't quote me on that. But I.
Your friends don't support me.
I had
They
opted.
don't download the podcast.
That's why I don't like them.
I don't want to spend time with them.
And I. Yeah, just the concept sounds like hot garbage. Exactly.
Yeah.
You're correct. It does sound like hot garbage, and that is exactly why it was such a surprise, because I sat down having nothing to do that night, and I just went, you know what? I saw like an Instagram ad for it or something, and I went, you know what? I'm going to watch like a few minutes of this. I'm just curious about how it works. It was more about the practicalities of it. Are they in separate rooms? What's this social media thing? Are they just using Facebook, or have they got their own invented one? How exactly does it function? And my girlfriend came home a few hours later, and I was on the couch in my pajamas with a cup of tea, like curled up with the laptop in my, not even on the TV, because I started watching it in the kitchen doing the dishes as like a background thing, and I was like crouched over my laptop, and she said, "What's happening?" I'm like, "Why did you leave me alone? Look what has happened!" She's like, "What?" And I'm like, "I've watched 4 episodes!" And I had literally, like Gollum from the Lord of the Rings, over his Precious, I was hovering over this laptop, like addicted to the show, absolutely hopelessly. And I think it is a testament to the power of reality TV sometimes, that it can occasionally become extremely addictive. It was horrible for me, because I was like, and then every night for 2 weeks had to consume the show.
This is great, because you've just fought it for me.
I have, because you
and
made
to
the
be
right
honest with you,
choice.
though, you fought it for me. So did you not think of this choice then?
Mm-mm.
Right. Because you fought it for me when you said I wasn't expecting to enjoy it, because that's, like you say, it's a surprise. At the end of the
premise
day,
of
the rookie looked bad from the trailers, but are you telling me you were surprised that you enjoyed a Nathan Fillion drama with elements of comedy?
The reason I chose it is I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it.
Right.
Because I think what was so surprising about The Rookie was that it was a really generic seeming show on the surface. Put Nathan Fillion in, he's a rookie, but he's too old. Oh, there'll be lots of people that don't respect him. You know, it just seemed really bland on the surface. I was kind of intrigued, but mostly because of Nathan Fillion's natural charm, not because of any other reason. So I sit down and watch this show, and the fact that it turned out to be a fascinating, really well-made drama that took an angle on policing that I have literally never seen before, and a level of realism that I've never seen before. Like, there's an episode where he discharges his gun, and he then goes through the process of what happens to a police officer once they shoot someone.
I remember you saying that.
And
That sounded phenomenal.
It's an incredible episode. So what amazed me about The Rookie was that it looked like a very bog standard, generic, sort of network procedural on the surface. What surprised me was that it was a very different and much better show, hiding underneath all of that.
And I agree with that, but the Circle, for the reasons you outlined, I think was the more surprising show, and it's worth saying that, I mean, because this was added, this award was added by Dan, so it wasn't me trying to work out a way to give the Circle something, was added, and I went, oh brilliant, that's what I can give the Circle to, because the Circle has to win something, because I think it was my most fun viewing experience of last year. I got addicted to that show. We were watching it on holiday. You and I were messaging each other about it. Like, it was the most addictive. I just found it so gripping, and it's pure trash.
And what's amazing is, I didn't get into it and then recommend it to you. You didn't get into it and then recommend it to me with The Circle.
No.
Independently of each other, we were both secretly watching in shame.
And then I think you messaged me and you were like, have you seen this Circle show? And I was like, mate, I fucking love The Circle.
I know, I think it was a weird thing that we both accidentally gotten gripped by the same thing.
Season 2's coming. And I think there's
Actually,
going to be, aren't there going to be international versions on Netflix?
It doesn't surprise
If
me.
memory serves.
Can I say something funny about this actually, though, that I found out the other day? Well, you know, in Facebook, and I never go on Facebook anymore because I just don't. I use the Messenger and I've deleted the Facebook app. I don't even look. But you know, you can see messages people unsolicitedly sent you. They go in a different inbox though. I never check that inbox. I went in the other day and there's a message from a year and a half ago from a production company guy that said he wanted me to audition to be on The Circle.
Amazing. That's brilliant.
I guess
would you be yourself?
Because I had a
separate discussion. Shouldn't be having it now. But
I had applied to King of the Nerds UK, but then season 2 didn't go, and I was in the final running for that.
Yeah.
So I guess it was a similar.
Would you have been yourself?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think I would.
Different story, but that's a weird thing.
Has to go to the circle. So, you've forgotten about the circle?
Yeah.
Presumably, you didn't consider it for any award.
No, I didn't.
Right, has to go to the circle.
I really see. I feel strongly the rookie deserves something as well, but I don't think it's gonna.
Well, then we can give it picked at the post. We can give it the runner-up award, best runner-up. But you did my argument for me.
No, it's got to be. It has got to be the circle.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any comments?
Just because it was it was shocking that it was so good and so gripping. Because it's a reality show. Deep down low, true. I would have been brilliant. So I mean, brilliant or.
What was that?
The other thing. Someone was saying I might have been brilliant in the circle.
I think you, yeah.
I think I would have been problematic in the circle because I think I would have hated everyone.
I'll tell you what. I think I would have been myself.
Yeah.
But with the most flattering photos possible. Because I'm looking at me side on now in this.
Yeah, these are not good angles on us, are they?
I don't know. I think side on is right. I think this is among my best angle. This with my arm is really working for me. That's why my back went 10 minutes ago, but I'm sticking with this pose.
No, it's not.
No, you're doing the same. It's a good pose.
Right. Any other comments? Any other comments? Lola's still time. Yeah, call them back. Yeah, that would be. I could message the guy back. He's still on my thingy. I feel the same way about Love Island. Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
I think you saw
the
the
problem
reason
with
it should
Love
get it,
Island,
even though the rookie was a huge.
I'll tell you what.
I was reading.
Sorry.
Let me read a comment from the listeners first.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think you saw the reason that the rookie should get it. It was a huge surprise. It just can't match the fundamental trash expectation. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think Lati has nailed it. It's Cram says you don't have an unflattering angle. Oh, you. I think that's it, isn't it? It's the. If the rookie, I was like, it's going to be a boring procedural, and then it goes up to here, it's jumped 10 points or whatever. But then on the circle, which just looks like utter trash television, it's right down here is the expectation. So when it gets to here, that's like a bigger chasm that it's jumped. That's 20 points or whatever.
On the Love Island thing, because after my enjoyment of the circle, part of me was like, maybe I would like Love Island. But the problem with Love Island is the sheer commitment. Isn't it on for 8 weeks or something?
Oh dear.
That's mad.
The circle
was draining. The circle was partly because it was on at 10 though.
When it finally, but I watched it on Catch Up Anyway. That's a different discussion. So the next award.
The Firefly Award for ridiculous cancellation decisions. So previous winners of this. So basically, it's just it can be why did it get cancelled? Hence, what's called.
The difference between this and most disappointing cancellation, which is the award that comes up next, is this is from a business perspective. What were they thinking with this decision? Whereas disappointment is our personal, that hurt. So this award is from a business perspective. How was this an acceptable choice?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. So previous winners were
Alphas, crazy ones, Mindy Project, Castle, Timeless, and Last Man Standing. Oh yeah, because Last Man Standing got cancelled.
Yeah, so because it's cancellation decision, uncancelling Last Man Standing was
still counted. Yeah.
And Mindy Project got it because it was about to be syndicated when it got cancelled, which meant they were just throwing free money away.
The reason I went funny on Crazy Ones because I forgot what that was, but that was the Sarah Michelle Gellar, Robin Williams thing.
Yeah. So the maddest cancellation decision, and I think people may not be aware of my choice for this.
Mine neither, which suggests we've got the same thing. Should we
might
say
have
it
the same
together?
thing. Yeah.
Count three.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Swamp Thing.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, Swamp Thing has won this because we both voted it. So that's blocking the comments, Chris.
Sorry.
Terrible. For those who don't know, DC Universe launched Swamp Thing last week. It's aired 2 episodes? 1 episode?
1.
1 or 2, and it's now cancelled. They've still got 8 to go.
Yeah. Yeah,
no, I'm pausing for dramatic effect, Chris. That's mental. Why would you not just wait a few weeks to show us that?
Of a show that's already been made. It's not like it's still making it. They have the episodes. They're going to air the episodes. Just let them air and see. Because also, episode 1 got good reviews. And it's all tied up, and I'd need to look into it a bit more to get the full, but it's all tied up in isn't it tied up in tax breaks and stuff?
Someone's just pointed out that I am still wearing my glasses when I start to take them off, which I'm going to do. That's better.
It's all tied up in tax breaks, isn't it? They thought they were going to get more money than they.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they thought they were going to get 61 million or something. I may have that. I may have this completely wrong, but it was something to do with they thought they were going to get a tax break because they filmed it somewhere else, and they didn't get the tax break. But either way, and it was 13 episodes, then it got cut down to 10. It's all madness.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? And the reason it definitely is the most insane cancellation decision, and maybe if we were doing a best of the best, like a champion of champions version of it, it would probably be all the other ones we've just listed. Because what's insane about this is the time frame they've announced it. Because
it's ridiculous.
Because even if you have all the reasons in the world to cancel a show, right? Because you're not getting the same tax breaks, it's going to cost a lot more to make a second season or whatever. Wait 8 weeks. What's it going to cost them to wait 8 weeks to announce it? Because all they do is wait 8 weeks, ratings out, great, we can cancel it now. Why would you kill it? Because I was going to watch it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. We would watch it for the podcast, but because we know it's been cancelled, if you said to me, let's watch Swamp Thing, I'd be like,
I probably will because I like Doom Patrol and it's in the same universe.
Yeah.
So I'll probably still check it out because these sentences might be great, but what madness! Let's have a look. North Carolina said it would pay upwards of 30 million of the show's first season, but then it was reduced down to 12 million for the entire season. Ah, yeah. Chris is so professional looking at the camera every so often as if it's filmed every time. Chris, you're a legend. Look at you just... I'm not looking at the camera very often at all. I keep looking off camera because I keep thinking it's on that side when it's on that side.
Oh, right.
So I keep getting it wrong. Yeah, it's madness. I don't understand how they could justify that as a business decision. Announcing
the 61 million unfortunately makes it very much a business decision.
No, but announcing it now.
Announcing it now is absolutely ridiculous.
Money you might have got from the hype of people going, it's actually turned out all right.
Yeah,
they just don't know.
Which they were, because it was a bit doomed. Because all the press before it was a bit like, 13 episodes down to 10. Is it doomed? Is it bad? But like I say, all the reviews were good.
Madness.
Worst, what was it? Firefly Award, Swamp Thing. Right. So most disappointing cancellation. So this is the cancellation that broke our hearts personally.
Yeah. Chris has a naturally white teeth.
Oh, thank you very much. Are they as white? Close up?
You got a little something in there.
Alright, well I'll point that out. Right.
Right, so which one is this again? Sorry,
this is most disappointing.
Most disappointing. Okay, this is the one that hurt us personally.
Now, mine's very personal.
Well, I had two choices. Actually, I had three choices for this, but two real ones. Let me just quickly look at all my... just to remind myself, because there were so many awards, I very much lost track. Yeah.
So Dan has chosen Speechless, which is what I thought you'd choose. Have you got a guess for mine? Just curious.
No, because I can't think of any show that you waxed lyrical about on the podcast as being when it got cancelled. Because when Speechless got cancelled, I was very upset on the podcast, on this very podcast, about that. And I don't remember any show you gave it like a big speech about.
Okay, cool.
Everyone read yours now?
We're
not playing the guessing game?
No, absolutely no, because you haven't got a guess.
Right. I just want to look before you tell them.
Right.
Chris, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it does. Chris has selected American Vandal, which was...
Did you finish season 2?
I didn't even start season 2.
See, there you go, because it got cancelled.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't help.
So I feel like people, because people will be familiar with what you got to say about Speechless, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't say that. So,
just want to say I'm getting compliments on the flick of the card just then.
Oh, well, hold on, let me give it a go.
Someone else just said Counterpart. Counterpart did hurt as well, really badly.
Counterpart cancelled.
Yeah, that got cancelled. Yeah. Look at Chris trying to match me with his flick of the card. That was pretty good. It landed on the owl.
High five.
Yeah.
So American Vandal, I think season 2 was great. I think they went in a lot of really interesting directions, and I think series 2 made it very clear that there was a lot of places that could go, and that cutting it down after season 2 meant that we didn't get to see any of that. I know what you've got to say about Speechless. If we're making it a bit more debatey, my counter argument would be that Speechless had 4 or 5 seasons, and I appreciate it did wonderful things. Did it do something different and interesting every single year? Would it essentially become a different show every single year, like American Vandal was? Mm-hmm. Was it on Netflix that promotes itself as we're the network that keeps things that people loves, and not anymore? All of those reasons.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I think it's an interesting debate because there's two versions of most disappointing cancellation. You're sad because they've there's a reality out there where it got to carry on and be brilliant, and you're mourning the loss of a thing you never got. You're missing something. There's a third or fourth potential season out there that will never exist now. So you're mourning the loss of the potential of where that show could have gone next. With Speechless, I'm mourning the loss of essentially loved ones. Like, but Chris is looking at the camera just then. And I don't mean that, obviously it's an exaggeration to create effect. But what I'm saying is these are people that were in my home every week that I got to know, that I came to love, that I came to, like, it was a part of my life every week. I would turn it on Speechless and have, half an hour with the DeMeos, and I laugh with them, cry with them, the whole thing. It's like a journey. So I've lost a weekly thing, a weekly ritual that I was doing. And it's, you're right, the show got to play out, for like 3 or 4 seasons in the end, which is a lot, and I'm very thankful for the amount of show that they gave me. But I think what I'm missing now with that show being cancelled is very different to what you're missing now. You're missing the potential of where that show could have gone. I'm missing my friends.
I feel like by saying that you're undervaluing the emotional weight of a show about dick pics and shitting yourself. And I think that's wrong. I think that's a fair point, and it is most disappointing cancellation. So you've certainly made an argument. You loved them, you're going to stalk them. I mean, all of that stuff. I will.
I'm being accused of emotionally blackmailing you on the
mean,
comments.
It's pretty. I mean, literally, you brought emotional connection to a dick pic fight, and that's what I'm saying.
Well, here's the thing though. What's cool, I think what's nice about this is it's nice to see 2 different reasons that might hurt.
Yes.
Because this is the thing with television, isn't it? Sometimes it's the thing that what might have been, and sometimes it is just I don't get to see my friends anymore. I don't get to hang out with these people anymore. And sometimes it is just the loss of that comfort of that show. And shows all serve different purposes. So when a show gets cancelled, I mean, you can see how it's nice to explore the different reasons.
You've got 4 years. You've got 4 years of memories with your old friends to go back to. Whereas I've only got 2.
That's a good argument.
I've only got 2 years of it. No, I think it's the award is titled most disappointing cancellation, and I think you were probably more disappointed and heartbroken over Speechless than I was about American Vandal.
Yeah. I think that is true, but I do think there is merit to the other argument though
of what could have been. Yeah, and you probably, if you listened back, you probably find like a reverse.
You
arguing what could have been.
I think at no point have I.
It's just your counter argument.
I agree with everything you're saying, and in a year where Speechless got renewed, I'd probably be right there with you. I mean, it was a really rough year. I mean, Counterpoint, which has been brought up in the comments, I was really hurt that I got. So I keep saying Counterpoint. I mean Counterpart. I know what I mean. I'm just
American Vandal, One Day at a Time disappointed an awful lot of people.
Santa Clarita Diet.
Yeah,
was cancelled this year. That's a great show.
Yeah.
We lost. What was the crime show? The courtroom one that was a comedy.
Trial and Error.
Trial and Error. I loved Trial and Error.
Because I am happy with Speechless, but I will make another argument as well. Disappointment is connected often to surprise. You couldn't have been surprised that Speechless was cancelled because the ratings told the story, you could see it coming. Yeah. Whereas American Vandal was this big, buzzy,
is surprise synonymous with disappointment? Can you be disappointed even though you're expecting?
Well, Cram, thanks for asking.
Cram didn't ask that.
It seems like the kind of question Cram would ask based on his last one about expectations and stuff.
Oh, I've just realised where I got Counterpoint from. Someone in the comments had said it earlier on. I corrected it Latin, right. And he's just said sorry, I infected you with the wrong name.
No, I think Speechless. I think you go with your heart on this one, Speechless.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I appreciate you letting me.
I'm fine.
You giving me that one. I feel like that's a pity win, but I'll take it.
No.
You're just like, you lost your family. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I didn't. Just because you've got no real friends apart from me, I'll give you Speechless. I'm joking. Dan's got real friends.
It's funny because it's true.
Right.
Chris is of the two of us is the one who has an actual social life.
No. Right. Just You do have friends. This is a weird position to be in life. You've got friends.
Next to
I mean,
one
you're
is
the one-
next to one is person with the least friends.
Next to
I've
one
chose
is-
Chris.
Next to one is just die already. How depressing is that?
This is the Just Die Already award for the show.
I had to add
should-
award because
Yeah,
I had to
down.
write just die already, Dad, and that looked really hard. So I had to write award on the thing. So this is
Yeah, no, this is just to
This
show
is
that
as well.
it's running, but it just shouldn't be. I mean, it can't.
Sorry, can I interject? Previous winners of saddest disappointment: Mind Games. Oh, that hurt.
Yeah, that did that.
About a Boy.
Yeah.
Mini Driver Can't Catch a Break. Limitless.
Yeah.
Pitch. Oh, Pitch.
I love Pitch.
And Last Man on Earth. You
Yeah.
had enough time with Last Man on Earth. Pitch.
Well, I won.
That's-
I won the debate because that was my choice, not yours. So I had enough time with Last Man. I bloody won whatever. I guess whatever you chose. So this is a new award. So we don't have any previous winners for this one. But this one is the Just Die Already award for a show that we think should absolutely be dead.
It should
because
just be cancelled or gone.
It could be because either it's quality or it's ratings, and the fact that it's getting renewed over other better shows is just a pain. There's a bunch of reasons you could choose this for, but it's a show that we think should, and it could just be that it's run too long. Like if Supernatural hadn't been announced as being ended next year, I might have chose Supernatural, and I like that
I
show.
nearly chose Supernatural for most surprising cancellation because it didn't seem like that show was ever going to
Yeah,
get
that's a good
cancelled.
choice.
So Dan has chosen. Was nothing in the comments about that last one?
Oh yeah, good point. We'll be your friends, Dan.
Wow,
There we go.
that's nice.
Cheers. There was one question, and Chris is all over me. This is a good suspect for Designated Survivor, honestly. Yeah, I consider Designated Survivor for the Just Die Already award because it ran out of its own premise in its first season.
That's
But we said this, and I can't make this point actually. When we reviewed Designated Survivor originally, the pilot, on this podcast, we said at some point he's just the president.
yeah. Is that what that show is now? I assume.
That was just the president. We literally said that when we. So anyway,
Dan has chosen Blacklist.
yeah.
So we're constantly surprised he's still on the air.
Yeah, and Chris has chosen my other choice because I had two I was torn between, and it's American Housewife, which is a rancid comedy with a really mean-spirited approach to its comedy.
Yeah.
Likes to mock and skewer and in a really
Yeah,
mean-spirited way. We reviewed the pilot of the show and we were very unhappy, and the fact it's still on television baffles
And
me
that's-
every day.
The crux of my argument against the Blacklist is at one point you and I were both watching the Blacklist and both enjoying it.
Yes.
We both watched the entirety of season 1
Yeah.
and enjoyed it. I don't think it ever won any awards. We didn't enjoy much, but it was good. Whereas American Housewife has always been offensive, and neither of us have ever enjoyed that. So the Blacklist there was a place for, in our eyes. This is all subjective, of course. I appreciate some people might be fans of American Housewife, but
I'd be
It should go.
amazed if anyone. See in the comments, American Housewife still exists. Oh wait, and there's another comment about it that says the Blacklist is still on. Yes. Can I point out to all of our listeners that both of these shows exist?
it's crazy.
You're as surprised as we are. We only discovered the Blacklist was still on TV last week on Picked Up Put Down.
Yeah, again, I repeat my request.
Does
I
anyone-
repeat it on YouTube, on here.
Does anyone
If
know
anyone
what's
knows
happening?
why it's still on or what the plot is?
Yeah. Tell us what's happening on the Blacklist.
Although,
What is that show now? I am baffled.
about the counter, Dan.
Go on.
They've clearly still got a plot. They're clearly because
That's
it's
not necessarily true though. Designated Survivor is just running on. He's the president, so.
talking about the Blacklist now. Huh?
Yeah, I understand that. What I'm saying is, the show can continue. You're assuming it has a plot, but without what basis?
But I am assuming at least and I'm making a leap here. I admit that because I've not watched any more of American Housewife than the pilot. But I'm making the leap that there has been more story and more plot and more character development in the Blacklist than there has been on American Housewife. Therefore, the Blacklist is doing different things, whereas American Housewife, I assume, is doing the same thing over and over every episode.
Yeah, but that's just the difference between a comedy and a drama.
Well, we're fighting between a comedy and a drama, Dan.
I understand that, but that doesn't help you win this debate though, because of course American Housewife, any sitcom, even the good ones, there's that, in terms of the more traditional sort of single cam American sitcoms.
What's the good ones? What?
No, the good, as in the good ones. As in
Oh, right,
the,
right,
the
right,
good
right, yeah.
multi-cam
Right,
sitcoms.
yeah.
Like even Single Parents, which is a show I loved this year, didn't develop huge amounts of plot. It doesn't, but this is you're comparing it to, that's comparing apples and oranges, because of course Blacklist has continued to try and weave a plot. But is that plot any good? Is it engaging? Is it worth being on television? No, I don't think it is. And the reason I think that is they were running out of plot when I stopped watching at the end of season fucking 1. So
Grab a bat, Dan, because that's the ball game we're playing. Like, yeah.
that was mixed. Not sure I'm buying you. I'm not sure I'm buying what you're selling there, Chris. What was that metaphor?
I just mean like
Grab a bat.
because but that's what I'm saying is that's the point of this. Like genres will come up against each other. I still think there's if we're looking at arguments for why one show should go more than the other. Yes, it's a victim of the fact that it's a genre thing, but it's still a fair argument for why American Housewife should go over the Blacklist.
I think that there is and I'm seeing the same thing in the comments. Assuming equal badness is the phrase used here, but Latty is with you. He says even a bad drama dragging is less painful than a bad comedy dragging. I would kind of I see what you're saying, but I don't think that's necessarily going to be the qualifier here, because I think that's a given. A drama is going to have more wheel to spin than a comedy. Again, comedies are sort of expected to do a bit of resetting every week, so I don't think that's going to be enough for me.
I'm going to go back to my previous argument that the Blacklist was at one point good.
Now that is a more compelling argument.
And had a mystery that needed to be resolved.
And had hype and an audience in its first season. That's
slightly,
actually the more compelling argument for me.
Yes, it's slightly comedy v drama again, although comedies can have mythology, The Good Place. So the fact that the Blacklist has a mythology that needs to
The Good
unfold.
Place a little smugly, didn't he?
Well, because it's got mythology, Dan. Even though it's a comedy.
Look, I disagree with your point, but I've come up with a better reason for why you're right. And I think it's the hype and quality of the first season of the Blacklist.
Well, and it's answering the mystery.
It had higher ratings up top. It has a good cast, and I assume they're still good.
Assume they're still on the show. Who knows?
So, I think that, and for someone who said in terms of linking the genre differences at the door, yeah, fair enough. I think the quality and the hype behind Blacklist at the beginning makes it a better candidate for this one, because American Housewives, as you pointed out early on, neither of us liked from day one.
Yeah.
But it's not just our opinion now. With Blacklist, we know categorically a lot of people like the Blacklist to start with.
Yeah, I think I would suspect ratings.
So now it's a bit like but then again, bad from the beginning. That definitely should die already. American Housewife thing. That's even more perplexing why it's...
Yeah, exactly. So it should just go. So, American Housewife.
Yeah, alright. You got me.
American Housewife.
Yeah, you got me.
The next award...
For a second I talked as if I was counterpointing, but I was just agreeing.
Yeah, it was very like...
Lost my mind briefly for a second.
Yeah. Best new drama.
Previous winners?
What it says on the tin. Previous... Oh, wait, hold on. We got a bunch of... No, have we? Because that was new. Best new drama, Homeland. Ooh, that must have been that was season 1.
Season, yeah.
Homeland, Hannibal, True Detective, Fargo, Mr. Robot, Stranger Things, Counterpart.
So
a series of good.
There was some great first year dramas on that list. I'm surprised Stranger Things got it. I imagine that was a slow year. I like Stranger Things, but it does stick out amongst those shows. First seasons, because Mr. Robot obviously has been a bit since, but
in terms of cultural impact, Counterpart is the one that sticks out.
Oh yeah, but it's a great show. So Counterpart won this award last year. Best new drama.
Dan has chosen Sharp Objects.
Which Chris doesn't look like he remembers.
No, I remember it. I'm wondering when it aired, but
yeah, this year.
Oh. I'm not sure it did.
I'm going to check that. In the meantime, Chris chose Killing Eve. Please defend your position, but I might have lost this one by default.
So, actually, technically, Killing Eve was. Let's look up. But I just thought Killing Eve was brilliant. I thought it was so good. When did Sharp Objects air? August 2018.
Yep.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sharp Objects actually counts. Yay! I'm not a complete idiot. Oh, someone's looked it up for us.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Killing Eve. Oh, Jodie Connor. What an incredible performance. Unbelievable. Equally, just everyone in that cast, I thought it was suspenseful. I thought its tone, Phoebe Waller-Bridge's work on it as executive producer, I think she was lead writer. I thought it was so captivating. There's a reason this show is a huge deal, because it's so engaging, and in a way, in the same way that The Circle was like the most gripping fluff TV, this was the show that we just wanted to watch the next episode after next episode. I thought it's just such a good time for this show to exist, and just to see those two great performances at the helm of it all. And you know what, it felt like they knew what they were doing. I think that's what I was really impressed with as well. At no point did it feel like the writers had lost their way. It felt like they knew the ending they were aiming towards, and the ending that they got to left it in such a unique and open place. And I know season 1 aired just before, but as discussed, aired afterwards in the UK. And I feel like I'm not doing a great job arguing it. I just thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I was a little less taken with Killing Eve. The tone just never blew me away. I liked
That's exactly about Sharp Objects.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, Killing Eve it's weird because I like a lot of people involved, and there's nothing about it I just directly dislike with Killing Eve. It's noted I haven't seen the second season yet.
No, neither. But I am basing this just on.
I'm just going to
season 1.
point out, keep you careful with your foot near that cable, because that. There you go. That's better.
I'm basing this on season 1, and but it's right. So you're gonna say that Amy Adams matches Jodie Connor, which I might not be saying right, in Sandra Oh in Killing Eve.
Yeah, 100%. Amy Adams is at least Oscar nominated, if not Oscar winning actress.
I don't know, I can't remember which one.
So we'll look that up. So someone's just pointed out Chernobyl. We said this at the beginning. We'll count Chernobyl next year because it's right on the button for whether it.
And we've not watched it yet.
So I think it's fairest for us to include it on our next.
Yeah, it is difficult because we go June for June, where obviously most shows of this type go calendar year. But Chernobyl will absolutely be in contention next year, and not the very episode of this podcast, because that'll be the drunk after party episode.
Oh yeah,
but it will be carnage because it'll be the first time we've done it in the same room together. But the episode after that, we are reviewing Chernobyl, Years and Years, Black Mirror, a whole bunch of stuff.
There's a massive list. I put that list on the Discord the other day. Actually, it's huge. Anyway,
we would review
Good Omens.
but
Yes, Good Omens is on there too for Doc, who said that. Hey, we're up to 22 views.
Hey, high five.
Perfect. Right. So Sharp Objects. I'll be honest with you. I think Sharp Objects for me because it just stood out in a year of a lot of surprisingly bland drama, or stuff that just didn't quite gel with me. It stood out. It really stood out as something different, something cinematic in a way. And people say that a lot. They go, like Game of Thrones, it's like cinematic. And Game of Thrones is visually cinematic, yes, because it has a high budget and therefore the visuals would look good on a big cinema screen. But I don't think it's just about that when it comes to cinematic. I think cinematic is also about, because TV evolved with a lower budget. So storytelling on television is often done dialogue. So you look at a show like Supernatural and it's a lot of Sam walks into the room with Dean. Dean, we're being chased by demons and this and this and this is happening. So television evolved like these like stage plays where it's all, a lot of this stuff happens dialogue wise. And then over the years we've started to get more money behind it and they've evolved. And you get shows like True Detective now that are telling their stories visually, not as much dialogue, a lot of shots that do, I mean even starting with shows as old as like The Wire. Like The Wire had shots that were composed to imply things and give us information that wasn't just being said by a person. So in one of the opening shots, one of the characters looming over the other to give us a sense of who's the boss in this situation. You know, really clever cinematic tricks like that. And when I look at something like Killing Eve, which presents itself very much in that way, you know, it is a dialogue-driven show. The action sequences obviously are there, but like when the plot's evolving, it's just usually people in rooms talking, and there's nothing wrong with that inherently at all. But I think what stood out for Sharp Objects was it was visual storytelling. the way they were weaving the flashbacks into the episodes, just from an editing perspective, not let alone the composition and what they were telling us from the composition about her mental state. So much of that show, if you just got the dialogue, you would have no clue what was happening. Whereas I could put on the audio for Killing Eve, and I wouldn't 100% follow the action scenes, but everything else plot-wise that's happening around it, they very much go, okay, this person's gone here, this is going to happen. So I just want to, and it's more me complimenting Sharp Objects than necessarily using this as an argument against Killing Eve, because I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I want to make this clear. But the artistry behind Sharp Objects, from that point of view, was incredible. It was the closest True Detective I saw this year.
And that's going to be my counter, because for me, Sharp Objects felt like True Detective. It felt like The Wire. It felt like Counterpart. Killing Eve didn't feel like anything else on TV for me this year or previous to it.
I'm going to disagree with that, because I don't think it felt like True Detective. I think it used some of the techniques True Detective used to be cinematic. But the
So
other...
it was a dull True Detective?
No, not at all. I mean, the thing is, I think getting...
It was for me.
I think getting Gillian Flynn, I think the name is, the author, to write... I don't know if they got her in to write this or if this was her project that she then took out. I don't know which order this happened. I don't know if a TV network approached her or if Gillian Flynn wrote these, I believe, Sharp Objects. And to get a genuine novelist to come in and write it meant that it was dense, but dense in the best way. It was really well thought out. The characters were intricate. The plot was intricate. There were twists and turns, and the way it built over those episodes as it went was just... I can't think of anything I saw this year that was as gripping. Genuinely. I watched Killing Eve while I was doing the dishes. And I liked it. And I liked Killing Eve, but it just did not pull me in the same way at all.
The thing about this one is it's so down to... Our arguments are so down to personal opinion. Because I basically felt exactly the same way, but reversed. Sharp Objects, to me, I found it almost too dense. It didn't grip me in the same way as it did you at all, personally. I just thought it was a bit confusing as a comical comment.
No, someone noticed me look at the comments and smile, and then have said that, and that made me laugh.
Oh, right. So me, personally, Sharp Objects, I just found it hitting 2 or 3, I'll give you that, like this is all personal opinion. However, I am willing, based on the fact that I know what Sharp Objects meant to other people as well, I know that people agree with you, and to be fair, Killing Eve was a monster hit, arguably the more well-known show of the two is actually Killing Eve.
But it's not about most popular, it's the award is the best.
And I feel like the acclaim Sharp Objects is getting, I'm happy for it.
Plus my show actually happened this year.
Yeah, you can use that if you want. Yeah.
No, but I also enjoyed Killing Eve, nowhere near as much as you. I don't think it's a bad show. I will probably eventually see the second season. The fact that I haven't says a lot. The fact that you haven't, despite the fact it's your choice, I think said quite a lot. It's not been available for a while through the States. The second there was any more Sharp Objects, I would be on that the day it was possible to watch it.
I'm happy to give it Sharp Objects.
And I think, I just think when comparing to the shows that have previously won this award, I think Sharp Objects sits better in amongst that group. So there you go.
As long as it's in contention for Pip to the Post.
Chatception, yeah. Great. Thanks for distracting me, guys, while I do the podcast. It's the best.
Best new comedy. It's the best comedy that started this year.
And I can tell you categorically now I'm going to struggle to win this one because I'm sure Chris has chosen. Chris. That doesn't bode well.
Dan has put Single Parents.
I have Chris. Sorry, has you're a bastard. Chris has picked This Time with Alan Partridge. Very different comedies.
Yeah, very different.
Hard to. Should we briefly explain, because I don't think many of our listeners outside of the UK will know what This Time with Alan Partridge is. So Alan Partridge is sort of a character that Steve Coogan created. He's sort of like a bumbling presenter, and he plays him sometimes in other stuff where he sort of appears as that character, and it's sometimes like he's gone on the radio as Alan Partridge. He's done mini-series as Alan Partridge where it was like a little docudrama about him, and then he did a chat show that was completely staged where he was in character as Alan Partridge. Started on the radio, I think, originally.
Mm,
Alan
yeah,
Partridge
it
character.
did. The Day Today.
And then he did some web series called Mid Morning Matters, and they did a
Movie.
film called Alpha Papa involving the character, and it's all in canon. So it's not like they're all different versions of the character. He will reference the other stuff that's happened in the other, and he just basically it's a character he keeps reinventing by putting him in new mediums. This year he.
He mocked in magazine. It kind of mocked, but it was basically a magazine-style show.
Yeah, so I guess I don't know what the American equivalent is, but in the UK we got this thing called the One Show, and it's people sat on a couch talking, and it's looking that's sounding really familiar, Chris. I mean, pot kettle.
Morning TV is probably a good.
Yeah, American morning TV. Yes,
morning TV in America.
Exactly.
And
the premise was that the beloved presenter of that show got Me Too'd, not initially, but for the most of the show, and Alan took his place. And it's a combination of what that show actually is, and then when they go to commercial, we don't see the commercial, so we see what happens behind the scenes too. And I mean, I'm going to be doing your job for you again here, but it was brilliant. It was very clever and extremely funny.
Well, I'll do a bit of your job. So, Single Parents, a new comedy from the writer of New Girl, based about a group of parents that are sort of thrown together because.
Sorry, someone's just giving me some ammo. Oh, you carry on. I'm Single Parents ain't down and out yet. I thought I would lost this one, but someone's giving me a good debate.
Fair enough. And they're thrown together, and they come from different backgrounds. They have different, income levels, and it's all about how they interact with each other and the relationships they build, the relationships the children build, and the relationship. Basically, it's about characters and the relationships they all build. It has got an incredible amount of heart, and it is also very, very funny. If you can just watch episode after episode.
Missed a couple, and I had 2 or 3 in the waiting to watch.
Yeah.
I'd had to watch one, watch something else,
and
come back to it because it's very cringy in a good way. It's intentionally awkward, but sometimes I just had to pause it and shake that out and then move on, which is brilliant and proves its effectiveness. But I must admit, on New Girl.
What was the argument you've been given?
Someone has pointed out that Alan Partridge is that technically new?
Yes, because I nominated This Time with Alan Partridge, which is a completely new show.
Yeah, same character. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's enough to win the debate, but it is
an interesting point. It's funny because I nearly nominate. We've got a new award, Best British Show, and I nearly nominated
for this,
and this for that. Sorry, and I really struggled with it for ages, and then it came to literally writing out my results, and I just thought, you know what, beat for beat, I didn't laugh as hard at anything this year, but that I did for Alan Partridge. It was hilarious. I'm potentially happy to concede it if I can then fight it for Best British, because it is inherently very British as well. There's the one show, the character, the humour, it's incredibly British.
I mean, for me, I think it's an interesting one, this one, because I think this is 2 different approaches to comedy. They're both trying to achieve such different things, so comparing them can be difficult. Because I think when I watched Single Parents, there's characters that I got invested in, and it was sort of like watching them grow, and also a show that has half of its cast be children.
Oh, the kids are fantastic,
and none of them are irritating. They're funny. In fact, they're arguably some of the best parts of this show.
Would have been. I didn't nominate this for best cast, but that would have.
But it would have been a good choice. They're incredible. The kid actors in the show have got comic timing that I would kill for. Like if it was possible to kill someone and steal their power, these kids would be dead already. Just saying.
Wow. I mean. In fighting for my choice, I've not, hypothetically killed any children, so that alone should surely get me the point.
Just gonna hang on the awkward silence. What it comes down to is a show that made you laugh every minute, but there wasn't depth to it beyond that. Really, they didn't make much of a. I don't think there wasn't much of a character.
There was depth to his relationship with her, especially in the last episode, and what that meant, and there was depth to that line between when he's scared, when he's worried, when when that bravado falls. Especially in the last episode, they did quite a bit of that. It's not as deep as Single Parents. I will
and I will also
say
the
best new comedy.
But it was one of the weakest points of the show actually, because there were turns where one episode they seemed to be getting on okay, and then suddenly the next episode, because it suited the premise of that episode, they'd fallen out.
No, I personally think they did a good job of when the cameras were rolling, she was pretending that she was getting on with him, but when the cameras stopped.
I think episode 1 or 2, they did exactly that. And then there were 2 or 3 episodes where there was none of that, where they seemed to get on reasonably well between.
That's not my memory of it personally, but
yeah, and then I found suddenly it was a bit of a left turn. I because it's best comedy, I actually am kind of happy to concede to Partridge, because I think I like Partridge more than you like Single Parents.
I really did love Single Parents. Actually, I'd have been happy with Single Parents. I think I laughed more at Partridge.
And I will say, we do often talk on this podcast about originality, and while Alan Partridge as a character is not the most original, I am forever going to be amazed at how he keeps finding new situations to put that character in.
The actual premise of it, and how it managed to, not mock, but how it managed to take a format where you just went, how has no one done this before? What we got comments-wise, Dan?
Whoa there, Dan. I know, right, Chris? That got dark, really dark. Chris wins on purely moral high ground.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I don't need to argue anymore. Partridge, based on the fact that I didn't hypothetically kill anyone.
I didn't either. I just said if that was a thing, they'd be dead. I didn't even say it'd be me. I just said, if that was a thing, they got a lot of talent. People would be after that.
Best new dramedy. I'm breezing past.
It's Chris's professionalism bringing us on, moving us on. He's ever the professionalist, Chris, and I'm usually the one that just fucking blunders in. Anyway, what is it? Next best new dramedy.
Best new dramedy.
Right. So
we've not done this award previously. Oh, previous winners of best new comedy, by the way.
Oh yeah, sorry.
New Girl, Moon Boy, Silicon Valley, You're the Worst, Master of None, The Good Place, American Vandal. Still disagree that was a comedy, but anyway. I remember disagreeing last year, but just really liking the show.
So we're gonna have.
Which may happen. I feel like that semantics debate is going to continue.
Here's the issue. Dramedy is.
Do you think it's about to happen right now with best new dramedy?
I'm pretty confident, because basically there's a show that I think is a comedy that I think Chris has nominated here.
No, because this is best new dramedy.
Oh, so no, it's gonna happen on Dramedy then.
Yeah, I think that will happen on Dramedy.
I think there's a show we're gonna disagree.
To be honest with you, you might disagree with my definition that this show is a dramedy.
Oh dear.
So,
well, buckle up, children.
Oh no, wait, it wasn't your nomination for best new comedy, so maybe not.
Let's see.
Dan has chosen Kidding.
Yeah, it is. Chris has chosen. I don't know what this is. Oh, I don't know. I do know what this is. I think it's Asta. It doesn't. It says After. Afterlife. Good choice.
Okay, so first of all, semantics. Do you agree that's a?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Afterlife is a drama.
Okay.
I think it toted the line pretty clearly. We'll come to the other show that we're going to disagree on later, and we'll have a good old debate about that. I'm not going to disagree with you on Afterlife's ability for this award. It was my second choice for this award. I struggled with this award this year. I think I had 3 options. Let me just quickly, don't look at my screen, Chris, so you don't see any. Oh yeah, Russian Doll was another option.
Yeah, I consider Russian Doll.
So Russian Doll, Afterlife, and Kidding were like my 3 debates that I had, and I went purely on personal preference. The show that Afterlife kind of looks like one, but the show that I every week as it aired immediately acquired and watched the new episode, I was waking up early to watch it before work out of sheer excitement, was Kidding. For those who don't know Kidding, it was the TV show Jim Carrey led this year, where he basically plays a Mr. Rogers type children's television, a beloved staple of American children's television in the fictional world of the show. And he's basically recently lost his son and is having essentially a mental breakdown over the course of the season, and making some really strange choices about the show and his life, and his wife's sort of separating from him, and it gets all a bit much for him, and it's basically his slow descent into depression and all this other stuff. And you're thinking, wow, that sounds bloody heavy. Wait till you hear the premise of Afterlife. But it's still, in spite of quite heavy themes, managed to be funny within the subject matter. They would be discussing this stuff and making jokes, and it never felt tonally abrupt. I didn't feel there was any separation between time for jokes, time for sadness. And I think that's what made it so great, because it was this real blend, this real pastiche of achievements.
It's also useful that what you thought was great is a criticism that could be levelled at Afterlife.
Oh, that's not an accident.
That's coming.
That's what I'm saying. Unfortunately,
yeah.
Afterlife, it felt very much like Gervais was doing that thing. He's very good at it, where he goes, Flick, we're doing comedy right now, and then Flick, we're doing sadness right now, and never the two shall meet. And I think what's interesting about that is, and as well, when there was comedy, the comedy was not always based in the actual situation. It was always incidental to what the situation was. My favourite jokes, and there were many, it's a great show, Afterlife. Do not misunderstand, just to clarify here what I'm saying. I'm not suggesting Afterlife's a bad show. But the jokes were often separate from what was happening in the plot. Like one of my favourite gags was the fish fingers thing. So for those who haven't seen Afterlife, he was with his nephew, I think it's his nephew?
Yes,
who he's taking out for lunch, and the nephew orders the kids-sized fish fingers and chips meal off the menu, and he wants to order the same thing for himself, and they tell him no, basically, which is ridiculous. So he just orders a coffee, and then when the kid he orders 2 fish fingers and chips for the child, and then they're like, well, no, you're going to eat it.
They're like, are you going to eat that? And he's like, no.
No, and then as soon as it lands on the table, of course, he grabs it and eats it. It's a really great scene, not at all relevant to the story. So that's when the show goes, now we're being funny, and then the next scene was probably him at a grave crying his eyes out or something. I can't remember. But the show did flip between them. And while the counter, what I will say in favour of Afterlife is...
Dan's going to do this entire discussion on his own.
No, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about Afterlife in a second. But the one thing I will say, just to finish my sort of overall of both, I think with Afterlife, I definitely left an impression in terms of... I was thinking about it for days.
Which is where I was going to go. So Afterlife is Ricky Gervais plays a character who's just lost his wife, and it's how he's dealing with that grief. And in that dealing of the grief, he decides to just say whatever he thinks. He views it as a superpower. He's just going to say what he thinks, when he thinks it, and not care about the consequences. And a lot of the humour comes from how that decision manifests itself. I agree that Kidding is fantastic. I think it's a great choice. When I saw it, I was like, Kidding, yeah. I think it's potentially Jim Carrey's best work. He's stunning in it. I think he's brilliant. I think Judy Greer is fantastic in it. There's clearly been a comment that is what we were going to read them all at the end, and now you're just interrupting me.
No, sorry, this one you're going to love, Chris. I'm not a big TV guy. Just popped here to see you guys live, and damn, Chris is hot. He put that. All I'm hoping for here is another mix-up like Bianca. To their own.
They don't listen to the podcast, or maybe they will listen to Stephen University.
Ruben Caballero. I'm hoping that's pronouncing that right.
Very sweet. Thank you very much.
Anyway,
thank you.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. That was a comment worth interrupting for.
I'm sure I'm less on now that I've just done that. Or even maybe they've watched the entire thing with me at a side angle. Now I put it that way.
Yeah.
Feel free to update.
It's all gone wrong.
Yeah. So, I mean, naturally, that's what I chose. I think some of Jim Carrey's best work. Yes. And Judy Greer is fantastic in it. The guy who plays the dad is also brilliant.
Yes.
And I will say what I love about Kidding is they just have we had an update?
No, just people saying I read your face when I said that.
That was yeah. I will hold my hands up to that. It's live. I can't not. And the other thing I love about Kidding, which you didn't mention, is its ability to just go, here's a little something, and then not come back to it for ages.
But when it does, the payoff
is always brilliant. The writing of Kidding was phenomenal.
Cliffhangers
in a comedy. Cliffhangers in a comedy or a dramedy.
Sorry.
That then didn't get resolved
immediately.
Immediately, just got resolved at some other point.
Yeah. Like, they were happy to leave the cliffhanger and then not even necessarily and not in a sort of frustrating Walking Dead way where they've cut to somewhere else and you're like, oh fuck, I just want to know what happens or whatever. No, in a sort of a like, oh, that's not gone anywhere. I can't
Yeah,
wait to see
it's
that
like
payoff.
this.
It just builds
At
tension.
one point, it was like literally like a bubbling, like a boiling thing. Like that's probably the biggest example.
And what was cool about it was they let you know that they hadn't forgotten it. They would have little scenes that reference that. No, that's still there. Don't worry, we know what we're doing. Trust us.
Yeah.
And within an episode or two, you just learnt to.
Yeah.
And it had some of the most incredible turns story-wise as well. How did you finished it? I assume.
I think I was a couple of episodes off actually.
Oh, okay.
But I loved it.
There's some of the turns towards the end of the season were some of the most shocking things. Something happens with an ice skate, and those of you who've seen it know what I mean. That I would never have seen coming in a million years, and it blew my mind. Like incredible.
Cool.
No.
Afterlife. The point I was really going to make is what you said. No, I don't think any other show had me thinking. Because about the circle, but I wasn't like thinking about it. Whereas, do you know what I mean?
Sorry, we live in a world where you just compared Afterlife to the Circle.
No, but in the sense that
I can't. No, I need the minute. I need the second.
But the amount of thought
Carry on.
and the depth to Afterlife when you analysed it, and actually a lot of we agreed on this very podcast that a lot of what you were talking about actually was insanely clever writing because it reflected grief and it reflected the grieving process, that mismatch of emotions,
Sure.
that mismatch of feelings, that sense of being all over the place.
But I do also, and I remember asking this question on the original podcast. How much of that is skill? How much of that is just coincidence or accident?
Who knows? You'd have to
What's
ask. You'd
the
have to ask
intention?
Ricky Gervais.
We talked a lot about his intentions for this
absolutely.
show because we both, when we finished watching it, neither of us were sure how we felt initially.
Yeah.
I loved Kidding immediately.
Kidding is a choice I'm very happy with winning. I think Kidding is brilliant.
And I think because we both had some questions about the pacing of Afterlife, and I can't remember having any criticisms at all. Kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kidding.
Look at
Kidding. Best new dramedy.
that.
Kidding.
I'm pleased.
Oh, this is a big one for many of the 18 people watching, I imagine. Because I suspect one thing that drew you here was, sorry, is any updates? Any? Am I less hot now that I've...
Dad is dying.
Huh?
Just Dan is dying. That was when you
Why?
compared.
Oh, because yeah.
When you compared Afterlife to the Circle.
Yeah. So this is a big one potentially. Best animated
Did we do
show.
previous winners of?
No,
Best
that's a new
dramedy?
award.
Oh, it is. No, it's not. Best dramedy isn't a new award because when you best
Yes,
new. Sorry,
best
no.
new drama.
Best, yeah, but all the previous.
Oh yeah.
All
Right.
the previous dramedy winners were
Yeah.
all new.
That's fair.
So I moved them over. Sorry, guys.
So previous winner, Transparent, Horace and Pete, Atlanta, and Happy.
They're the and they all won in their first season. So when I looked at it, I was like, okay, so best new dramedy is technically the existing
Yeah,
award
right.
renamed.
Yeah.
Best dramedy, which we're doing later, is technically a new award.
Yeah. So Dan for best animated show.
And best semantics goes to Dan for that bullshit. Next, please.
Dan has chosen
Oh, I think it's just what do they?
Steven Universe.
And can I just give myself some credit? A little star. I don't know if that's visible on camera. It isn't.
Sucking up to the crowd. He knows who's watching.
And we have a cheeseburger.
That was disappointing.
Do we have a cheeseburger?
It could be a cheeseburger backpack. It's a cheeseburger pillow, but yeah.
Cheeseburger backpack. So I chose Steven University. No, I didn't choose Steven University.
Fucking hell, a bit arrogant. It's not even animated, mate. You did a good job with the title card.
No, I'm not that good
But
a job.
don't count.
I chose Steven Universe. Sorry, I'm so used to saying that on the podcast.
Yeah.
Chris has chosen. Chris has also chosen Steven Universe.
Yeah.
Thank fuck.
Now,
I
I will
The
say,
crowd were about to turn on you.
I will say,
You hinted earlier you had a different choice.
I had a second choice, which I really did think about.
Was it Love, Death,
It was Love, Death and Robots, of course it was. Because what Love, Death and Robots did was so imaginative, so bold, just brilliant. What a fantastic show. And also it's best animation, and Christ, that ran through the gambit of animation.
Yeah.
And also, by our definition, key episodes of this season of Steven Universe, i.e. A Single Pale Rose, and the episodes before that of season 6, didn't air within this time frame.
Yeah, but change your mind.
But the
Kids.
last
Yeah.
bomb did, and some I think
Diamond
Lars
Days and
Lars of the Stars maybe.
right.
Was that after
I can't remember what the
Single Pale
cut-off
Rose?
is in the current year.
But I went with Steven Universe because, I mean,
You're not an idiot.
it's, yeah. For you guys, no. I went for Steven.
If you hadn't gone for Steven Universe, I'd have been checking the window to see that there wasn't a mob with torches outside.
I went for Steven Universe because, I mean, the emotional impact, the achievement in an 11-minute episode, change your mind alone was a big part of
Yes.
it, because as much as we kind of went back and forth on a few elements, it was essentially one of the greatest pieces of fan television
Yeah.
ever. Like, what an episode for the fans and the people that love this show. What a rewarding experience. The depth of some of the plots, the beauty of the animation, it did have to be Steven Universe.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, I mean, it would be pointless to go on too much about it here, because obviously not only is this its 3rd year winning, I think, in a row.
Oh, well, we can let you know. Rick and Morty, BoJack Horseman, Rick and Morty, Steven Universe, Steven Universe.
So this
now
is its
Steven
3rd year winning. So I think we have a new. I'm proposing now actually a new rule where if a show wins an award 3 years running, we rename the award the Steven Universe Award for Best Animation, and then exclude it going
We'll
forward.
have to talk about that next year, because I'm not sure I agree with that.
Oh, okay.
I just
Oh,
think
is
if it
this-
shows,
is it- is this the old Ant and Dec debate?
I think if it shows, well, I think this year Ant and Dec maybe shouldn't have won that, because so Ant and Dec are a British television duo who always win the NTA award for best presenters. I think this year's controversial because one of the shows wasn't presented with one half of that duo, and actually, what I also think,
Very nervous about your foot in this
Oh,
one.
sorry.
Sorry, carry on.
what I actually think as well is that Holly and Phil from This Morning get nominated separately, when actually if they were nominated together. But
But-
separate things. But I think if a show is a good enough quality to keep winning, then it keeps winning.
Okay. Well, there you go. Maybe we'll debate it next year.
But, and we, those 2 episodes that will have aired by next June of Steven Universe will be in hot contention.
The movie. Actually, it might not. If it's just the movie, it won't be up for. It'll be for best special
Will be up for best, yeah.
rather than best
Best feature.
animation. So,
There you
yeah. Yeah, it'd be curious to go on about how much we love Steven Universe. If you want to hear that, go to listen to our other podcast. We can wax lyrical for hours and hours about how great that show is. But someone mentioned in the comments what the other considerations were, and the only other one, other than Love, Death, Robots, that I did consider was.
Did you agree that was your second choice as well?
Yeah, I would say so. Just because of how innovative it was.
Innovative, yeah, it was
I think I look. Give me something new. I'll take something new. And Black Mirror, but with animation.
actually
I'm on board.
it's the only genre we don't have a best new for.
Oh,
So we've got
yeah,
best
yeah,
new
yeah,
drama,
yeah,
we've
yeah.
got best new comedy. We don't have best new animation.
No.
So you can make an argument that it would have got that.
Yeah,
but anyway.
100%. DuckTales was my other choice. I mean, I'm a sucker for Darkwing Duck, so you throw him in anything, in any form and fashion, I'm on board. And that show just seems to exponentially improve in quality every episode, and I'm kind of scratching my head going, where does that stop? Where's the barrier? Where's the ceiling here? So maybe next year. I am a couple of episodes behind, I think, on DuckTales, but I've definitely seen some of the episodes that aired this year, but it's a great show.
The phenomenal achievement of what Steven Universe has done just cannot be underestimated.
Yeah, best new animation to give not SU a chance from Lati. Yeah, Doc says woohoo. I assume to my DuckTales. I mean, I suppose Exponential suggests it started in the toilet, which it didn't. It started, but it started as frivolous and fun, and it's become something a lot more. And I think that's a pretty big leap for a show. But then again, you can say for Steven Universe. So there you go. Next award.
Yep. So next award is arguably, I think, the most passionate I feel about a choice I've made.
Really?
So Best Performance Award. Previous winners: Jack Whitehall. Worth noting at that point it was Most Surprising Performance.
We changed the
for
award name after that.
Jack for Fresh Meat. Olivia Colman, Peter Dinklage, Sarah Lancaster, Rami Malek, Ron Cephas Jones, and Freddie Highmore. So Dan has chosen Emilia Clarke.
Because, oh God, that woman needs to win something this year. And Chris has chosen. Oh, this is going to be an interesting one because I don't know how I feel about this choice. Hannah Gadsby for her performance in Nanette.
Can I clarify one thing that you may be, because this may become a semantics thing?
I don't want it to be a semantic.
Okay, cool. To clarify, I'm not suggesting that in any way, shape or form, by best performance, I don't mean best acting. In no way, shape or form am I suggesting that she was acting in that special or anything like that. I'm viewing it as who was the most gripping, who was the most engaging, who put fucking everything into a performance piece this year. Performance in this interpretation for me is someone doing something artistic, someone doing something creative. I don't think we should rule out stand up from this award. And my God, what she did with that show was so incredible. What she put into that show, what comes out of that performance, the what she creates, how captivating that is, how engaging that is, how powerful that is. Was there anything like it on television this year? No. Does it all ride on her? Yeah, it's her on a microphone.
Yeah, I mean, it's
all in the performance.
The reason I'm talking on this, just to clarify for listeners, Nanette is a stand-up show with some extremely incredible themes and some very heart-wrenching tales of somebody struggling with acceptance in the world, and it is beautifully written and performed. But the reason I struggle with this is because a lot of this, well, a chunk of it, it's not performance. She's herself telling her story.
But does that not make it even braver? Does that
It makes
not
it
make
braver,
it
but it doesn't
even
make it a
more
better performance.
commendable? But if you
if
view
you're not-
performance, that's getting slightly semantical. Because if you view performance as her standing on stage giving a stand-up performance, then it lends itself to be
Yeah,
it's not best actor
yes,
or
but here's the
actress.
thing: if it had been a less personal show, you might be more easily make it might be easier to make that. But this isn't. Portions of that show are not performance. That's her saying her viewpoint.
in a stand-up performance.
That's why you can see where I'm coming
Yeah,
from.
I can see where coming. Hence why my opening gambit was to clarify what I meant by
Yeah, and
that.
no, there's no question. It's best performance is the name of the award. I was never gonna say, well, it's not acting, it doesn't count. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I do think stand up can count for this award.
But
With such a personal show where it feels more like her telling her story to a.
But the nature of the story,
Yeah.
to tell that story
Yeah.
night after night after night must have been to relive that must have been gut wrenching.
it's actually
such a challenge. Like for me,
and to
that
deliver
helps
it with that same passion. Because
Yeah.
when I watched it, I thought, God, did it really get her? Was this the time that it broke her? And then I've seen clips from the non-Netflix special
Yeah.
version of the show. No, she reacted like that every time.
Yeah, and apparently, like you listen to interviews with her, it broke a bit of her every time. Like it was
Yeah.
real. Like people come up to her after the show and try and engage in chats about it, and it was just so difficult, you know. What I'm intrigued to see what people are saying.
A very valid suggestion of J.K. Simmons, who did give two amazing performances in one show. Actually,
and Jodie Connor as well, who obviously
Yeah,
neither was nominated. But Jesus, what she did in Killing Eve, the way she switches between accents, switches
Yes.
between personalities, it's an incredible performance.
Yeah. It's incredible. No. I'll back for Amelia, but I mean, it feels like a lost. Once I thought about her performing it every night and breaking that way every night, I'll be honest with you, some of that has to be acting. But there's no way there's no way she felt as choked up as she performed it every single time, because at a certain point, I just think factually anything you do that often becomes
But I think
at a certain point becomes possible. But that plays into your hands though, because what I'm saying is that makes it a performance.
I see how that plays into my hand.
That makes it active.
For me, when it's got the emotional weight that has, it wouldn't surprise me if she's able to do that every time.
By playing on that thing, but that's what actors do. You know, they play on real things that upset them to be upset in acting. So I think that actually helps your debate more.
We'll give Emilia Clarke some praise.
Yeah, so I mean, we all have acknowledged that her, whether you agree or disagree with whether the seeds were there for that character's turn, particularly towards the end of the season, I don't think anyone will disagree that she sold the shit out of it. Like everything from her, particularly her eyes, how she could communicate things with her eyes, just remarkable what she was able to do. You feel the fury, you feel the fire, you feel that rage just from looking at her. She wouldn't need to say a word. Like it was a stunning performance in so many ways, right up to the final minute. When she spoke with conviction, you believed it. And I honestly think that I think she's come out of Game of Thrones not getting the praise she should have. People often talk about Dinklage's turn on that show as being like a really great performance, but I think did we not give him that award? We've given him this very award for that. I actually think now looking back at the show as a whole, she did a lot more than he did.
I think you're right in your praise of her. I think some of that praise could be carried over to the cast in general, considering what they had to sell. They all did a wonderful job, and it is worth noting that it's the one area of the show I've not heard anyone criticise the cast. I think Kit Harington was equally brilliant. The look when he does what he does in that final episode, the depth of that.
Yeah.
Peter Dinklage, I wasn't as in that final episode when he was searching for what he was searching for in that monologue at the end and stuff. I think a lot of your praise is spot on, but I'd apply a lot of that to the rest of the cast as well, even if Emilia Clarke is ahead of the pack.
Yeah, I think so. I think she sold some bad stuff, and also just like the poor woman, like to be sold like this story of heroism and sort of feminine, sort of like in a man's world, a woman rising, saying a kind of by accident about women in power that's a bad message, and I think
it's poor execution.
Anyway, we took a pause there to do a camera take. No, I think you're right. I think it goes to that, and then you may have noticed I already wrote it down. I think Hannah Gadsby definitely gets it. I mean, I can't think of, because it's one thing to perform in front of a camera where you can cut and you can stop and and to perform that live in front of an audience and be able to nail it with that level of consistency every night. It is remarkable in a way I'm not expecting. The double camera turn. It's been Bob Odenkirk, Better Call Saul, another. Yeah. Another great choice, Better Call Saul. He's been fantastic in that.
And also last year's winner, Freddie Highmore, was also continues to be brilliant.
Yeah. But okay.
So best special or features. This is a new award.
Now, can I just say that I now know? So someone mentioned in the comments, did they skip an award? Because I gave the list of awards out earlier today. These got reordered by Chris, and now I know why. Best special feature. I can tell you right now, Chris has chosen Nanette.
Yeah, and I wanted to praise her first because I think that's the most important thing to do with that special. So this is, if it can be a feature film.
Wait.
Nice.
Nice. Chris!
Let's not faff about and move anything, but basically that landed in the gap of a blind.
So Chris has blinds in this room, and the blinds are set to be like this, and it's flung and caught itself like someone throwing a throwing card into a dartboard, and is like, Where's your camera? Take a picture. I'll put it up later. Take a picture. That's I'm sorry, I want credit.
Put it on the Discord later, and we'll put it on. Yeah. We'll do something.
Yeah. There we go. I'm impressed with myself. Complete accident. Right. I'd love to say that I did that on purpose. In fact, I did it on purpose.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, aiming for that.
I wanted to praise Hannah Gadsby. No, that's not what I was saying. It can be a feature film if it came out on Netflix. So if it went straight to video.
Yeah. So we were talking about this because this is a new award this year, and what we were basically saying is that we are seeing more and more features going straight to Netflix. And I mean, it's TV. It's in your home. You're not viewing it in a cinema. I think if it didn't get a theatrical release, and we're not talking about one screening to make it eligible for awards. I mean, I'm talking about an actual theatrical release. If it doesn't have a theatrical release, I think it counts as TV. Honestly, Bird Box to me, that's TV.
And that's why Dan's nominated Bird Box.
No. So with that in mind, there weren't any films this year that I think stood out enough. So I ended up going with a special.
Yeah. As the Mongolia special of the Grand Tour.
Yeah. I mean,
that landed just between the gap and the cushion.
Let me just.
There you go.
Wow. Yeah, the Mongolia special, Top Gear. I don't know. Okay.
There's no Hannah Gadsby in the net, is it?
I'm gonna go for it. I think what they achieved with that special. So for those who don't know, Grand Tour has been the fledgling, the running on fumes version of the old Top Gear. sometimes has moments of greatness and flashes of brilliance, but of course the premise is older. The cast have been doing it for so long that they're just sort of they're a little bit set in their ways. They're just going through the motions a bit. The Grand Tour has had moments of the old Top Gear brilliance, but it has not really genuinely recaptured the spirit of the old show. And to be honest with you, that was also true of the last few seasons of Top Gear when they were on it before they left.
Yeah, okay.
That was already happening. That didn't happen perfectly as they transitioned to Amazon. The Mongolia special was they were dumped. Oh, it's worth noting. Part of the problem is it's become a little too set up and scripted because they started to get concerned that they'd go out and nothing would happen on these big specials they do where they travel across the country. So they would do recce's and figure stuff out for them to do and pre-planned jokes and bits, and it was all obviously set up and stuff. Whereas back in the old days, it all felt very natural and it all felt like they just went out to America and drove across it and then they filmed the chaos that ensued, or Vietnam or Botswana or any of those original early specials. The special this year, they were genuinely dumped in a country with no civilization in any direction, hundreds of miles of any civilization, with enough parts to build a kit car. No actual full instructions on how to do that. Only enough food and rations to genuinely survive for a certain number of days. They had to build the car, get across the country to civilization before they ran out of food and water. Now, I'm not saying they didn't have a radio or a phone that if they did,
they wouldn't have let them die.
Of course not. But that's the challenge, and if they'd have failed, they'd have been rescued, and that would have been the end of the episode, and it would have been like, we tried and we're not good enough or whatever. What ended up happening was this incredible tale of three friends banding together and doing something genuinely incredible. And I haven't felt this way about a Top Gear or Grand Tour episode since the Polar Special, the original Polar Special, where they had to get a car to the North Pole through huge icy tundra.
Which was a Top Gear special.
It was a Top Gear special, but it was an incredible piece of television because they were angry, they were bickering at each other, they were fighting. It was just, and it felt very genuine. Same thing happens here. They won't let Hammond drive the car because they're worried he's going to crash it. Clarkson genuinely fucks up and one of his plans goes wrong and they lose some of their rations and they genuinely get angry at him because he's just lost them like a day's worth of food. And that means that's one less day they have to be able to travel before they run out and they have to call for help. There are one or two moments that I felt like they maybe gone in pre-planned, but on the whole, 99.9% of it felt very genuine and like they really did it. And if that's what's happening next year, when they say they're just going to do specials next year, if they're like that, I mean, dear God, it's genuinely mind-melting how they were able to suddenly recapture the spirit of the old show when they've struggled to do that for so many years. And not just like a flicker of it, like not a mimic, not an imitation, not a recreation, not something kind of close but not quite. That was the thing they used to do that I loved. And I can't tell you how much I enjoyed watching that. I watched it twice in a week.
I feel like I'm in a difficult position here because we've done the awards this way round, and I feel like if I hadn't have just given the passion speech for Hannah Gadsby Nanette, this would be going to Hannah Gadsby Nanette, and potentially I still think it should, but there are some at times elements of, because of the way we do this, and the fact that it's not an actual award ceremony, like going, okay, well, we gave her that, give Grand Tour this. But again, all the stuff I said before, like, I'm sure that was amazing, and I'm sure the fact that it recreated or made you feel like you were watching Top Gear again is amazing. Fundamentally, that's making you feel like an old show that you've seen, and there's a nostalgia buzz to that. I would assume it didn't leave the impact that Nanette left, and the stunned silence after watching that, and the beauty of that special, and what it achieves, what she achieves as well. But it's so tricky because it is what she achieves. It is about her, and we've just given her an award for that.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this now that Nanette and Top Gear both brought my girlfriend to tears, but for very different reasons.
Yeah.
Like Top Gear,
Well, again, you're saying Top Gear.
Oh, sorry, Grand Tour.
But you know what I mean. That's part.
That's part of what's amazing. That's part of what's so amazing about what they achieved on that.
One argument you've not used, not to kind of give you an argument to use, but would you say the filming, the way it was shot, was that?
Oh yeah, incredible. But to be fair though, I think that's always been a strong point of their work. Once they got because they're not an expensive show to make versus like a full drama.
Mm.
So they get the sort of money you get to spend on a full drama on just insane stuff.
Yeah.
Their visuals on Top Gear have always been just insane.
Tricky, man. Because honestly, if
Or
we
Grand
hadn't,
Tour in this case.
if we hadn't done it this way, because if Best Performance Award didn't exist, if I heard that I'd be considering giving it to Grand Tour
Yeah.
after over Nanette, I'd be like, well, that's
Okay.
that's mental, that's crazy. Nanette is potentially the most powerful thing that aired on television last year.
I'm going to end it right here. Nanette genuinely made both me and Nadia cry.
Yeah.
Top Gear was a really fun time.
Mm.
Sorry, Grand Tour, the special, that was incredible. But it's got it.
It does
I'd
have to
have
go
to
to Nanette, doesn't it?
I mean, look, I had a good time sat in my bedroom watching a thing that gave me a sense of
Nostalgia.
this whole thing that I love.
Yeah.
Nanette changed lives.
Yeah.
It's got to be Nanette.
It's got to be Nanette.
It's,
It has to be. It's a shame.
I don't want it to be because I mean I kind of like this award. I was kind of hoping as my excuse to get Top Gear, not Top Gear, sorry, it's Grand Tour. This.
As always, put to the post.
Well, yeah. If anything else gets pipped twice, then it's fun because they've usually done it on how many times something was pipped. We'll come to that award in a minute, guys. For those of you who are confused.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has to go to Nanette.
Yeah, I think it does. Sorry.
Yeah, it's tragic, but it's because I kind of conceived this award and I thought there is literally nothing.
Had you forgotten about Nanette?
I forgotten is a strong phrase, but
I don't mean that.
in the terms of it was not. It didn't come to mind in terms of this.
Yeah. What are there any comments? What are people? What are the peeps saying? The consistent 17, as they should be known.
Consistency, yeah. People start talking about Chernobyl. People saying that basically that they don't like Jeremy Clarkson and crew. It's worth noting, by the way, that with those guys, I do think the bit sometimes is they're crotchety old men and they're playing to that as a joke. I think
that's fair.
I don't think necessarily they're always bad people. I think that often they're playing bad people because to them that's the gag, is like these out of touch old farts doing stuff. But ultimately, I think that when it works best, their content is when they're playing on their friendships and their group, that camaraderie. Like, because I have groups of friends like that, and it's like it's very there's something about that that's easy to connect with, even if the people sometimes say stupid or offensive things, even when it's kind of joke is old man is ignorant.
Yeah.
That's because they do play on that a lot, and I personally feel like that's intentional sort of like lampooning of people disagree. I think that's just genuinely what they're like, and if that, you're welcome to think that. I don't know them, you don't know them, or more, I assume you don't know them. So it's that's up to a debate. But I understand the concerns.
Cool. Any other comments, or are we moving on?
I'm just having a quick gander. Sounds like an excellent premise for an episode. It was an excellent premise for an episode.
Cool.
Moving on.
Speaking of, best episode is next. So,
I tell you what, there is no award I'm going to fight for harder than this one.
okay.
Sorry.
Intriguing. Episode 6 of Cucumber. Previous winners: Tommy's House at the Late Late Show. Still love that deservedly got an award. Shut Up and Dance by Black Mirror, and then Mr. Robot, Season 2, Episode 5.
Yeah.
I assume it was Season 2. So,
yeah.
the award he's
No.
going to fight for...
No, it's season 3, episode 5.
Season 3? More than any other, Dan, for best episode, has picked BoJack Horseman, Free Churro.
Chris has picked for the best episode award Love, Death and Robots with Suits. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Look, I'm sorry. I know
This
this
is
is.
going to let me speak.
Nope.
Jesus.
No, to start with, Free Churro is one of the greatest half an hours of television ever written.
Is that the monologue?
The entire episode is the character.
eulogy.
Yeah, the entire character at his own mother's funeral, eulogizing her, but through it learning and talking about his own life and his own perspective on things. It is one of the most heart-wrenching, funny, brilliant pieces of television that I saw this year. In fact, the best.
This year.
Yeah.
I just remember you talking about it a long time ago.
Yeah, it would have been November, I think.
Okay.
It was incredible. It didn't ever get dull. It's one character talking at the camera for 22 minutes. The fact that was as gripping as it was, I have no idea how they achieved that. There's a really great gag at the end. There's loads of great gags as it goes, but it builds on all these themes and ideas and the fears of death and all these great stuff while being completely ridiculous because it's BoJack. I genuinely can't think of anything this year that stood out as much as that episode did. And while Suits was the best episode,
Did it have farmers in robot suits shooting at each other down?
it did not. But it did
Well,
not.
did you kind of write it down already?
No, I was putting a full stop. I've been putting a full stop on all of them when I'm just like. Yeah, and I will. Well, I mean, I'd like to hear your attempt to convince me otherwise, but you're gonna have a job.
I struggled with this, and this was one of these. Sometimes with this format, the way we do it, you write stuff down, thinking if there's a better answer or a more passionate answer, I'd be, I wasn't willing to concede. I would have thought we're fighting now if you agreed with my 2 Hannah Gatsby nominations. This award for me wasn't one like that. I was more surprised to hear you agree it's the best episode of the series, because I know a lot of people love When the Yogurt Takes Over.
That is a great episode.
But to me, what you were talking about earlier with the Game of Thrones thing, the Suits episode, so that's the one where there's like a dome around a farm and the farmers are fighting to protect it in robot suits, basically.
We talked about, I think when we reviewed that show, it was just so much fun.
Much fun.
Loads of tone.
You felt, the fact that you cared, the fact that you felt connected to those characters and cared what happened to them with such a short space of time is a phenomenal achievement on the show's part, on the episode's part. But I've heard universal praise and love for BoJack, and it doesn't compete with that speech, that episode. It was a great episode, but it wasn't a great moment, which BoJack by all accounts was.
And to not completely dismiss Suits as an episode of a show, I mean, when I watched through Love, Death, Robots, there were 2 episodes that I thought that could be a whole show. I'd watch that whole show. And they achieved that in 10 minutes, and one of them was in fact Suits. And even though the premise was very simple, I got very invested in those characters and their success in a very short space of time, minutes of screen time, and I was on board. So I'm not going to say it's a bad choice at all.
No, I don't.
But it's. I'm sorry, it ain't beating Free Churro.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
absolutely fair enough.
Because it shouldn't have worked. That's the other thing about Free Churro. If you had told me at the start of the season, so last year they did a silent episode. This year they're going to do an episode that's just all the person talking basically at the camera, because the camera is positioned as if it's the audience to the funeral. So you don't see the audience to the funeral.
So does the angle change?
Once, right? Yeah, for a sort of gag.
But,
But yeah, it's on him at the sort of funeral pyre with the casket next to him.
See, I've even been tempted to watch it. But
yeah, you should.
Can you watch it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. Because I mean, there's a lot of stuff that builds on other things about his character, but you'd still get a ton out of it if you didn't. Yeah, I'd recommend it.
So best single episode, BoJack Horseman, 3 Churro. Anyone disagreeing? Any?
A good suggestion someone put in of I can't remember who did it, but IG64 said Reunited. Does that not count? Steven Universe.
That absolutely would count. And actually, if I didn't think of that, and that would have probably been potentially my choice. It would have absolutely counted. I probably would have thought Reunited. 3 Churros would have still got it, but actually, so Reunited, for those that don't watch the show, is an episode of Steven Universe that I can't really explain, I don't want to spoil anything, but it involves a wedding, it involves the villain or perceived villain coming down and being villainous. It includes their equivalent of the Avengers lineup and group shot. It's a beautiful, heart-warming, beautiful episode of television.
Someone's just said, is there a best song category? Would you consider having one? I think we definitely consider it. Best music and best song this year, there'd be 2, because obviously Steven Universe would probably win best song, because I can't think of any other songs that were other than Change Your Mind and A Million and one. Yeah, let's talk about love. I mean, for One More Day. No, yeah, One More Day. Let's just talk about love. Yeah,
for One More Day.
But I mean, music in general. I mean, dear Lord, the Battle of Winterfell episode of Game of Thrones. The music in the last 10 minutes in the build up to Stabby Stabby, I'm not going to reveal, but that, oh my god, that's some of the best music, full stop, I can remember seeing on television. I don't know if, say it if you agree.
Well, yeah, I absolutely agree. And
best song while crying for a free SU award.
Reunited is a great shout. I probably would fight Reunited over that episode of Love, Death and Robots, but I think it still would have gone to BoJack. Best cast, what it says in the tin, previous winners, Game of Thrones, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Empire, You, Me and the Apocalypse, This Is Us, This Is Us. Dan, I can exclusively reveal, chose Game of Thrones.
Chris, like an exclusive reveal, chose. Oh yeah, a very English scandal.
I was very pleased with this nomination.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Part of me did think, I wish I could find an award that a very British, a very English scandal story fits, but every time I put it up in a category that it could be nominated, the other options were just stronger. It was great, but just never quite good enough. Like if there was a sort of a nomination picked at the
best miniseries,
it would definitely have been a consideration. Yeah, I don't think we didn't debate this one much. I think Game of Thrones, as we pointed out earlier, their cast are amazing, but I don't think they were always carrying the show.
So that was going to be my argument, because I suspected from what you said earlier that you chose Game of Thrones, and Game of Thrones was my second choice. What that cast did, and again, no one has criticised that cast. What that cast did was phenomenal this year, especially. But you want to go, performance for performance. I don't think any of them beat Ben Whishaw or Hugh Grant.
No.
What those two did in a very English scandal,
and I'll be honest with
was
you,
phenomenal.
with lesser actors, I don't think that anywhere near as enjoyable.
No.
Whereas you put lesser actors in Game of Thrones, I think the stories are enough to keep me engaged in the dialogue and the visuals and all that stuff.
Yeah, the very English scandal depended on that cast working, and not just those two. Everyone else as well was phenomenal.
Because otherwise they wouldn't get.
I agree with you that I was like, it was the first show I thought of the best cast, and then once I kind of thought about a very English scandal, I was like, oh god, I wish there was more places for it, because it was fantastic.
Yeah.
What a gripping 3-episode thing. It again, some of the most fun I've had watching TV this year. So yeah, I think I'm glad you conceded. I did wonder earlier, because someone said, I think I said something about best cast, and I was like, oh, if Dan's not thought of that might make him go, oh yeah.
Yeah, easy win for you, I think.
Cool.
Moving on to the next award.
Yeah, well, did we give it enough love? Yeah, I think we did. Yeah,
It's incredible.
yeah.
The cast was
Check
great.
it out on Amazon Prime if you've not seen it.
So, the big one,
I
Chris.
think I made a mistake with this actually.
Did you?
Yeah, I thought
this-
something else during the process of chatting.
Yeah, well, this is the best show we aren't watching.
So this is the best show that Dan and I aren't watching. Previous winners, The Leftovers, and then you did watch it.
Yeah.
And The Americans, which we then, as regular listeners will know, did also then watch.
They're great shows.
Yeah.
Was there not more? We only done this one twice? Oh.
No, we've been doing it twice.
Oh, there you go. Anyway, so let's get to it. Well, we're down to 15 viewers now, Chris. On the live
Oh,
stream.
the
That's
consistent
depressing.
17 and no more.
Oh, 2 people have just given up. It's just too long.
Well, how long have we got?
Yeah, too long. Sorry, guys. I'll move as quickly as we
What
can.
is it? We've gone longer to be. Oh no! Wow! Oh wow! Time flies.
Yeah. Anyway, best show we aren't watching. Chris has selected Cobra Kai. Good choice. Excellent
I
choice.
think I'm wrong, and Dan has selected The Terror,
Yeah.
which I've never heard of.
I cannot think of a show that I had recommended to me more this year than The Terror. I saw tons of news articles about it when it aired. Every podcast I was listening to was talking about it. I got it all queued up and was very excited to watch it. Just could not find the time amongst everything else we were doing. By the time I was seeing all that excitement and that hype, it was too late. You know, we were on the podcast past its airing, and with the new format this year, we had less time to devote to shows like that. I'm still intending to watch it this summer while it's quieter, TV-wise. But I'm very, very excited. I don't know a whole lot about it. I know it's basically about a boat that I think in real life went missing.
Oh, okay.
And it's like a fictionalized account of where these guys, where it vanished and where the people on it and stuff. Seems, I don't think it's modern day, I think it's a period piece. The reviews and the feedback and the hype around it when it aired, not quite as comparable to the hype I'm hearing about Chernobyl at the moment, but pretty close. It seemed to appear everywhere for about 2 or 3 months, and then it just sort of died down when it ended, obviously. I found it strange it didn't cross your path, but coincidence, I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe I just was the other way. Maybe it was coincidence the other way around, and I came across loads of hype when it wasn't. But the reviews weren't just, it's good. Everyone was basically saying it was an incredible show. So
I realised that maybe it could have gone for Big Little Lies, which has obviously received a hell of a lot of. I don't know if that
in its
did air.
earlier seasons, though, I don't think it's getting the same hype
and
now.
I don't know if it's aired, in our time frame. Cobra Kai, I will try and fight though, because what amazes me about Cobra Kai is, by all accounts, it should not work. This is not a show that should be successful.
Correct.
And people love this show.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff. Look, do you mind a spoiler?
Sure. I am going to watch it at some point, but go on.
So there's a gang in Karate Kid
Yeah.
that all go around and yell at each other and yell. So the gang comes back. One of them passes away quite dramatically. Apparently, it's a beautiful moment, and then that person that's passed away ends up in a body bag in the episode, and he is the person that yells in Karate Kid, "Put him in a body bag." Like
That's some
deep cut, powerful stuff.
Inception-esque.
Spoilers for Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Although that's an episode spoiler, not an arc spoiler. By all accounts, this show is brilliant. Also, I feel like you could have watched The Terror and didn't. You couldn't. Well, I suppose you could have probably. I feel like if Cobra Kai was free on YouTube, you'd have watched it by now. I do wonder though, did Cobra Kai air before? I think it aired, but it's on season 2 now.
The second season out this year.
Yeah.
So I honestly I could have watched Cobra Kai before now. I
Okay, fair enough.
I did have plenty of chances, and it's been, and arguably you could say it's been 2 years, and I've still not managed to sit down and watch it because part of me was doing the thing that you just did at the beginning, which is going, it shouldn't work. So I'm part of me was
But by all
by
accounts,
it does. But there's a reason it's gone free now. Wasn't exactly raking in the subscribers.
Fair enough. But neither's the Terror hasn't ranked. Well,
The ratings were
what you
pretty,
say.
no, the ratings were pretty big for,
Okay.
for that. I forget which network it's on, but the network it
I
was
don't mind.
on.
I don't mind either on this.
Yeah, we could basically flip a coin, couldn't we? Both are about both.
Well, what are people?
Well-
Is there anything? Has anyone said anything?
By all accounts, it doesn't make any sense. People say the Tick. The Tick. I love the Tick.
Dan is watching the Tick.
I was up to date on the Tick. I love the Tick. An incredible show. I was really sad it was cancelled. We're losing IG64. That's to get ready for work. Have fun with the rest of the summer.
Enjoy work, RG64. Thank you for watching.
Listen through the podcast version eventually and hear the chaos that ensues. Yeah, and no one seems to be putting their hat in the ring for either.
Let's go, because to be fair, not a huge. I don't know the timing of Cobra Kai. Let's go for the Terror.
Yeah?
That's fine. Yeah.
Because it's in its first season, but it
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
more sense. Cool. The Terror. I'll take the win, even though I know. You know, that's a weird category actually, because it's hard to debate about shows we've not seen.
Speaking of, the next award is
yeah.
the Better Half Award. So these are shows nominated by Jess for me and Leah for Dan. Not necessarily shows we've watched, but the show that they think deserves some recognition is what the award's for.
There's been some questions about Cobra Kai. It is now free. YouTube have changed the YouTube Red system, and you can watch them for free with ads, or you can get YouTube Red to watch them without ads.
YouTube Premium.
Oh, they call it YouTube Premium. That's
Yeah.
right, okay, Chris.
My hand's not on the wire.
Your foot and that wire are terrifying me.
Yeah, but I think worst case scenario, there's batteries in this mic.
That's true. That's true.
Actually, I don't think there is. I'm just saying that to try and make you feel better. So, show that should get some recognition in the opinion of of our partners. So, Nadia has chosen Dan to fight for Sex Education, which is a show that Jess and I did watch and love. Which makes that tricky.
Jess has chosen Grey's Anatomy. Oh, sorry, Jess.
Well, what's annoying about this is, like, you're able to go, but you watched Sex Education, and Jess enjoyed Sex Education. Jess would be happy with Sex Education winning. I did say I will fight for Grey's Anatomy though, and that's what I'll do, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a fact as well, because it's not just her that feels this way. I've looked; it's the highest rated season on Rotten Tomatoes.
Cool.
For
You carry on. You carry on. Just gonna.
well, why? No, see, you're being offensive to Jess now, Dan, because you're not even hearing her out.
I'm making a silly joke for the people. For those who are listening, I put headphones on.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
Including Jess, who's listening. I care about you. That's
rude.
Although I think actually,
I think it says a lot that the comment I'm just immediately saying is Grey's Anatomy still on?
fair enough. Can I just say that actually, Jess now won't be worried about how I fight for her because I care about you. It's quite a light compliment. For
Yeah, it's
someone,
actually
for someone you're marrying.
to give this some context. The previous shows that won this
Oh, we're all Nadia's choices.
were two of Nadia's shows, Terrace House.
So
and...
Jess was literally like, when I asked her for her choice, she was like, "There's no point. Nadia always wins." And I feel like she might again because Sex Education, Jess. We loved Sex Education. Right, but I will say, apparently Grey's Anatomy did some amazing storylines this year. I know you don't care, but again,
No, I'm listening, I promise.
again, I looked, Rotten Tomatoes, it has a higher score for this season than it has in like 3 or 4 seasons. So people in general do seem to agree. And when she described the storylines to me, so a woman who was adopted discovers that her father was a rapist and he's now passed, and sort of how she deals with that. They did a story about a doctor that commits fraud. So a young girl comes in and can't afford the medical insurance, so I can't remember if it was a male or female doctor, they put the child on their insurance or their daughter's name or something. They commit fraud basically. And both of those storylines, considering the show is in season 15, I was like, they do sound like good storylines. Apparently it's done some phenomenal work this year.
It's always impressive when a show can go as many years as it has and have a good season at all. Like, I mean, Supernatural's definitely been
exactly
struggling over the years, and I the slight counter to the IMDb thing is
Rotten Tomatoes.
Sorry, Rotten Tomatoes thing.
It's critics. That's critics score as well.
If the
I've not looked at audience score.
An increase is relevant to where it was. So if a show takes a big dip, then
it was down to 100%.
The current season.
Critically, yeah.
Right.
66% audience score. 5 for Sex Education. I ain't gonna do your job for you.
I don't think with Sex Education, it's a tricky one actually. She chose the one show that I didn't love. She's made this difficult for me. But by all accounts, I'm wrong. Everyone has told me that I'm wrong on this show.
You are.
You've told me. Like Jess said, the comments we got on the episode where everyone loves the show. It didn't gel with me. Didn't quite work for me, for a number of reasons. But everyone else found it engaging, funny, like the characters, like the cast. Thought the stories were bold and fascinating and went in some really interesting directions. Nadia watched it. To give this some credit as well, Nadia does not watch a lot of TV without me because she's easily distracted and ends up looking at her phone and not paying attention. There are a handful of shows she watches on her own, and they have to be basically the best thing on television because if for her to get off her backside and sit and watch TV and concentrate and focus on that and not be off doing something. She's a very active, she's sort of quite an active person. It's quite a challenge. So there's only a couple of shows she will watch without the fact that shows that I'm not into that she'll watch without me. One is Derry Girls, which she loves, and the other is.
I couldn't get into Derry Girls actually, but anyway.
Yeah, that's right, but it wasn't for me either. But Sex Education, she watched. She basically binged it, which is even the other shows she loves.
Again, not to do your job for you, but Sex Education. What was incredible about Sex Education, apart from its bizarre setting, time period, and tone, what was amazing was it was one of the least predictable shows I've ever seen. You thought you knew where an episode was going, and it went in a completely different direction.
Yeah.
Sex Education at no point did the obvious thing, and I did consider it for a number of awards. So I'm really sorry, Jess, but because we also love this show, and because I think you would also potentially have chosen this show, I'm going to go with Sex Education.
And it's worth noting here that if you because what was it you said earlier that Dan
I'm
wins?
sorry, Jess.
What was it you said earlier? Dan wins because he argues better than you or something. Is that what you said?
I think that was the implication. Yeah.
Right. Because you were referring. I did not debate that better than Chris. It's hard for me to defend Sex Education. I didn't particularly get on with it, but I just have to acknowledge that clearly, when it comes to the masses, I am the minority.
And those masses include Jess and I. So, in the hope that you'd have potentially chosen this show if you'd thought of it, Jess, I'm going for Sex Education.
Boom. Next.
So, best other, because time is. I did not know it was that late. Thank you to the consistent 16 who stayed with us. Really appreciate it.
Should we see if there's any
any comments?
Sex Education was very good. Yeah, a lot of people agreeing with Sex Education as a choice. And then some other snarkiness for fun.
What's the snarkiness?
It's a whole thread. I'd have to read a whole.
Oh, okay, fine.
But nothing to do with us. Nothing. An ongoing chat in the group.
Oh, nice, awesome. That is the way to watch and enjoy. Absolutely.
Yeah, why not?
So best other. So this is a show that is not a drama, not a comedy. Could be reality TV. Could be a game show. Anything that doesn't fall into the genres we've already assigned. Yeah. So Dan has chosen Who is America?
Yeah. And Chris has chosen Taskmaster, which is a previous winner. Actually, have you got the previous winner?
Sorry. In the Crown and Terrace House, I did.
Were the
I did
two
read
Nadia
those.
choices for the previous, for the better
All
half?
right, don't rub it in. All right. Nadia's choices, yes. And it went to Nadia's choice again. Sorry. Modern Life is
I don't know
Goodish.
what just happened.
Last Week Tonight and Taskmaster.
Those are previous winners.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Who is America was kind of insane. The fact that that worked, the fact that he can still get away with it, that he's still versatile enough to be not spottable. Because at this point, you feel like that lumbering, huge, gangly, sort of strange man walks into a room and you immediately go, Sacha Baron Cohen, how you doing? No matter what guise he's in. The fact he's still able to get away with it, but also the way he constructed the characters that he portrayed in that show to get the best responses from the people he was talking to, and the way he executed that concept. For those who don't know, actually, Who is America was the Sacha Baron Cohen show where he basically portrayed various characters and then had real life meetings with politicians and other public figures, and sort of accidentally exposed their hypocrisy. You know, not accidentally, like very intentionally. So he approached somebody who was a gun lobbyist who, you know, really goes, and then sort of in his conversation with him, pretending to be on his side, actually exposed how ridiculous some of his ideas were. And I just think in Trump's America, I think a show like Who is America is super important, and I think it's really good to expose. And I also was surprised at how fair he was. He did not always 100% go after right-wing people. He also went after left-wing people a lot as well. Like, probably not as much, obviously, because I think he does have his own personal leaning. But I think the show was surprisingly balanced, considering how it may have turned out, and hilarious. Like, some of the things he got genuine humans to say will forever blow my mind.
So this is an unfair question, but it is one I'm curious about. So, the previous winner of Best Comedy is American Vandal, which I think at the time I argued was a mockumentary. But your argument was, if memory serves, and this again it might be unfair, was the main thing about it was its humour and how funny it was, which I think you could level at Who is America. So what for you, just out of intrigue more than not necessarily the argument, what for you makes this qualify for Best Other and not Best Comedy?
Not being scripted.
Okay.
I mean, it's that clear.
Yeah.
It's a factual show.
Fair
He's improvising and reacting to what they're saying, but it's not a scripted show.
Fair enough.
They plan out a character here for him to be. He obviously decides some of the things he's going to get those people to do, and then real life people interact with him. You know, it's edited in the style of a mockumentary, but those reactions.
Well, satire was more what.
But
your point remains.
Yeah, I mean, the difference to me is that someone sat down and wrote an episode of American Vandal, and no one wrote Who is America. So
Taskmaster. So I'm it's airing at the moment. I'm specifically talking about season 7, which I nearly
not the current season, the last season.
Yeah. Which I nearly nominated for Best Cast.
Incredible.
Because that for me was the best season. Task wise, the task where they had to make these scales say Ollie upside down.
Yeah.
The task where Rod Gilbert put a picture of Greg Davis's mum in the bath on screen.
Yeah.
I think it was the funniest.
We should explain what the show is.
Oh yeah, so Taskmaster, for those who aren't familiar, it won last year, as previously stated, and it's basically Greg Davis plays the Taskmaster, and he makes a group of comedians or actors or personalities in the UK. We watch film of them undertaking tasks, and then there's a live task at the end and a kind of live-ish task at the beginning. Season was hilarious. I think the way those contestants interacted with each other was brilliant, and the best the show it was like the best of both worlds. The tasks themselves were brilliant, and the interactions between the people were also phenomenal.
I agree with all that.
It is. Yeah, because we don't have Best New Other, do we? Because it is season 7 of. Whereas it didn't break the ground that Who is America broke.
Yeah, and I think my other argument is it's the format of that show has not changed. What made that season stand out was the cast.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the format of the show is the same format we have appreciated in the past, and I think, not to say it doesn't mean it's not the best show now also. But as you point out, the breaking new ground element of it, I think Who Is America was so well timed. He took that concept off, and put it in a safe for a bit. Like that idea of going. I mean, when was the last time he did one of those style movies? I mean, his last movie prior to that, The Dictator, was a proper movie, a scripted movie. He didn't.
Yeah, and that one about the Brothers Grimm or whatever it was called.
Yeah, Brothers Grimm was a completely scripted one. He sort of stepped away from that playing a character and getting real reactions premise for a while. And what a time to bring it back! Like what a genius move to go. You know what America needs right now is someone to expose how silly we all are, and for that reason, certainly more culturally relevant, I think, than Taskmaster. Maybe not as funny as Taskmaster, but I would say it had a really high hit rate on the comedy. And it was social. And it was
bolder, the social commentary. Yeah, I think best other Who Is America. I don't know why we're high-fiving that. We're not high-fived any other winners.
This is going to be bad. I might need to go to the toilet.
Well, you go and then I.
This is bad.
So, yeah, that's fine. I don't think it's bad. This is kind of this. I honestly thought it'd be 9 and done. Nope.
We're not too far from the end now, guys.
No, so I'll explain the other awards while you go to the loo.
Please. Sorry, guys. This is just. I've been fidgeting for the last 45
I've been stretching because my back is killing me. Anyway.
Had to happen eventually.
So, coming up, we have best...
Chris, you managed to get one of the cards in the toilet that you...
So, we have... Oh, shit. Oh, that was real. I thought you were joking.
There's a card in here.
Oh, amazing. You didn't see me bragging about it. Best British. So that is Best British Show, a new award. I'm very intrigued as to what Dan's nomination is for that, because it was an award he added. I didn't know if he had a specific show. My guess was The Circle, but from his reaction earlier, it didn't sound Circle. I potentially, and so guess in the comments. I suspect that for Best British, I have chosen the most British show on television in existence. So if people would like to guess what they think I've chosen for that. And then we have Best Comedy, Best Dramedy, where I don't know, it will get into semantics and we may be here till 10, hopefully not. And I think because it's right at the end, one of us will concede earlier than one of us would have conceded before. And then Best Drama is the final award of the night, and then there's Pipped at the Post, which is what Dan referenced earlier. So that is an award that we give out to shows or people. I think it's always gone to a show, but there's nothing to say it couldn't be people, where there have been awards that show could have won, but didn't. So basically a show that we talked about throughout the evening, but not actually given an award to. And then Dan's got whatever he's got planned. If we're going on too long, we might just skip that. Let me see any guesses. So, guesses. We've had Doctor Who. We've had Bake Off.
I'm going to assume the sound of the toilet flushing made it onto the podcast.
I don't know. Was that the most silent peeing ever? No, I didn't hear. Was that?
Yeah, that was very much by design, Chris.
Yeah. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Presumably there's a guess for Best Comedy. And not Alan Partridge again. Alan Partridge was my original nomination, but then I switched it when I nominated Alan Partridge for Best Comedy.
Are you taking a break? Am I filling?
Yeah.
You've explained all the awards and left me to fill.
Also by design.
Hello everyone, it's Dan time. Let's see what the comments are going. Oh, Bake Off. Yeah, Alan Partridge. That was quite a flush, but it was audible barely. Well, there you go. Only barely. Doctor Who. Yeah, I mean, wasn't the best year for Doctor Who. I think both Chris and I would agree. Bit hit and miss. Thankfully, we've only got these 4 awards left, and then we've got a little last thing, and then we'll get out of here. Sorry, guys. Are we happy that it's run on this long, or are we all wanting to just, keel over? There's 15 of you left. I mean, I imagine at this point you're all basically waiting to... you're all expecting to just die of natural causes before this finishes. No, people are good. People enjoying? I hope so. I'm not just being a pain because I still have another hour of work. The 90 minutes home. Ouch. Sorry. Let's see. Was happy to be kept company as I work today. That's nice. Thank you, Anthony. Doctor Who was mostly missed this year. Yeah, I would agree with that. Repellent Zeus, I just got here, so I'm fine. I put the thread you missed into the Discord, Dan. I don't know what that means, but I'm going to assume there's something I've missed there. I'm at work and this has been solid background noise. Excellent.
Is Bianca still online, considering it's so late over there?
Bianca does not seem to still be online, which makes a lot of sense because in the Philippines, I mean, I don't even know what time it is in the Philippines right now. Down with this big head, assuming we wouldn't just leave if they ceased and says, you know what? It's not a big head because part of me genuinely thought, Latty, I don't want to say this out loud, that maybe you guys had taken pity on us, given up watching, but because you knew how low our viewers were, you just sort of left it on in the background muted just so we'd have the view. That was what I was starting to think was happening. So there's a part of me that was doing that.
It's not that late anywhere though.
It's,
I don't know where
yeah, I mean, I don't know where
in
people
America
are.
it's in the morning and like here, we've been doing it a while, but it's only...
Chris, for those who might not be able to hear, Chris is saying it's not that late in America. You guys on the stream will hear, but I don't know if the podcast people can hear. It's the thread I didn't read because it's too long. Ah, okay, yeah. Dan's used to a 9 PM bedtime. I'm not, but I got up at 5 AM.
My back is struggling where I'm leaning.
I got 9 AM. Sorry, 5 AM I woke up this morning. So 9 PM is not my usual bedtime, but I tell you what, today it might have been. If we weren't doing
it's
this.
pretty tight.
Right, let's do this.
And I don't know whether after this finishes...
Second wind!
Because I'm not even like, I don't know if after this finishes we're going to be like, oh, sorry, let's call it a night and go to bed. Or we're going to finish this and go and suddenly be hungry.
Yeah. Oh, we'll be hungry.
Because we've not eaten.
We've not eaten any of it, which is so stupid now. Right, so the next award is Best British.
Yep.
So, this is where the debates might be starting.
Okay.
About a certain thing.
Okay.
Let's do it. Chris has nominated The Great British Bake Off. Interesting.
Dan has nominated Afterlife. Did we give?
Not just
No,
to
we didn't.
Threw it in your face. Yeah, I really, really want to make sure that this isn't the award that debates will start happening. I don't think. I really want Afterlife to win something.
We didn't give it. We gave it to Kidding.
Yeah, we give it to Kidding. I think Afterlife is genuinely, and what I thought about it a lot because I was really cautious with this award because I didn't want to. So Sophia said, "Do I win anything for guessing right?" She did guess Bake Off in the comments.
Yes.
Our praise and affection.
And a little serenading. Sophie, well done for getting it right. By the way, unfortunately, Doctor Who was a lot of miss.
Sorry, Sophie.
How bad is that? Like, Jess, I'm like, I care about you, but for Sophie, a little
She got a
serenading.
song.
Sophie.
So,
To the person who said Doctor Who, it has been mainly misses this year. I'm really sorry. I didn't consider Doctor Who for anything.
no, I neither did I.
Maybe Rosa was a very good episode.
Rosa wasn't
maybe that, But anyway, carry on.
I've forgotten what we were talking about.
Afterlife.
So for me, Afterlife, I thought about it, and what I was worried about was there are a lot of shows that people were saying like, Black Mirror. Even people were saying Game of Thrones. Like when I was looking at comments online for like people, voting for like best British shows. Like, I was looking at lists of other top British shows. Game of Thrones to me is not a British show.
No,
It is a mostly American production that happens to be shot in the UK with a lot of UK actors, but it's everything about it is very American. To be honest with you. I don't really consider it a truly British show. I think this award shouldn't be about how British a show is, though. It should be the best show that happened to have genuinely come from Britain. And I honestly think that the best show that came out of this country this year, in terms of like scripted content, was Afterlife. I don't think
Fleabag.
Fleabag.
Yeah, but in terms of that statement, yeah. So, I mean, we could have just given Afterlife Pip to the post instead of inventing an award for it, but...
I didn't invent an award for it.
I'm joking.
I didn't know what I was choosing when I suggested we do a Best British. I just thought we talk about a lot of British shows on the topic.
Yes.
They don't always get
Yeah.
love on the statics. That was the impetus behind it.
if it was to be based on most British show, Bake Off would win hands down. Bake Off is the most British show in existence, and I actually think Bake Off probably deserves an award as well. I think it's really entertaining.
Yes.
I think it's a lot of fun. The Celebrity Special with James Acaster, even if you don't watch Bake Off or like Bake Off, people should watch that special, including yourself. It was phenomenal. James Acaster basically baked how you or I would bake if we were on Bake Off. It's phenomenal television. But you know, it's 20 to 9. I want to give Afterlife an award.
Can I address something that's come up in the comments?
Yeah.
We both washed our hands.
Yeah,
Just
I was
because you
very
didn't
much
hear
so.
it. Chris's toilet and his bathroom are in separate rooms, so you have to go out of one into another to wash hands. The basin is further away from this sound equipment than the toilet. I came out and spoke and then still didn't come back into shot for a while. It's because I was washing my hands. Chris did the same thing. Just want to clarify.
Just got to make that clear. No, in all seriousness, I think Afterlife is a better show, and all the praise that we gave Afterlife earlier remains and stands.
Yeah, I think Bake Off is a sort of.
Oh, but if it was best
It's a
British show,
I mean, absolutely, it's the most British television. But I don't think it should be about that. I think it should be about the quality.
Yeah,
so for me, I think it goes to Afterlife.
The Big Three, the Big Three, the trilogy, best.
You can't call it trilogy.
Best no
copyrighted.
We call it the
Copyrighted by us.
best comedy: Parks and Rec, Louis, Silicon Valley, Last Man on Earth, Master of None, Detectorists.
Those are the shows that have previously won. So.
Previously winners. Dan is nominating for best comedy. Fleabag.
And Chris is nominating for best comedy. The Good Place. Can I start? I don't like to start by countering your choice, but I'm going to on this one. I think Good Place has had better seasons. I like this season of The Good Place, and it's one of the best shows on television just in general. But I think this was a fine season. Felt like they were setting up the next one more than they were telling a story of their own this year. Still great, still funny, still love the characters. The premise is still inventive. The fact that they keep rejigging the show to make it, fresh, is incredible. But I do think season 3 felt like a bit of a gap where they knew where season 4 was going, they knew where season 2 had ended, and they were just like, "Wow, shit, we need to get them here from here."
I don't disagree with any of that. I found this quite a difficult one to come up with a choice for. To be honest with you, did you have any other picks other than?
I probably did. Let me have a quick gander at my awards. Sorry, no, I didn't.
Very slim pickings. This is going to get semantics. We will try and be brief because the difficult thing with this for me is partly we've only got half the story if we're going to go down the semantics route. Because for me, Fleabag is a dramedy, and I've nominated it for best dramedy. I bring that up because for me, there's an element of I'm happy for it to have best comedy if I prefer your dramedy to The Good Place.
So in that case, should we open the dramedy ones
what
now?
What have you given best dramedy?
So this is unprecedented. I've never done this before. Don't open it just yet, but I just want to clarify what we're going to do here.
But can you see why I'm asking?
Yeah.
Because if I fight for The Good Place, and then your best dramedy is just as worthy as Fleabag, and Fleabag gets nothing, I'll be pissed off.
So here's the thing. I agree with you. I want Fleabag to get one of these 2 awards. I don't care which. So really, it's the 2 non-Fleabag shows against each other for the other one.
Because Fleabag was phenomenal.
Deserves one of them. And I don't want to get into the semantics debate. I genuinely feel Fleabag is more comedy. I think it's a joke rate, the sensibility, the tone. To me, it feels more like a traditional sitcom with dramatic sort of sprinkling of drama than like Afterlife, which was genuinely a dramedy. As much focus on drama as a comedy. I feel like the Fleabag lent more into its comedy, but did some really good character stuff and some really good drama. But we could sit here all day and go in circles about is it a dramedy, is it a comedy? But really, it should come down to what the other 2 options are.
Which is why.
So I know, as we've just discussed, that you have chosen Fleabag for best dramedy,
and Dan has chosen The Orville.
So,
which I think you could also class as a comedy.
Not anymore.
That's
the reason. So the reason I chose The Orville was quite simply that. That was a good one. Chris with the card represent. The reason I chose The Orville is because I think Seth MacFarlane did a switcheroo on Fox. I think he conned them. He sold them a parody of Star Trek, and he just made Star Trek. And he started it as a parody, and then slowly weaved the comedy out of it. That's not fair. He didn't weave the comedy out of it. He weaved the more forced comedy that's comedy comedy, like I'm gonna say a thing that's funny now. Wait for laughter. None of that. Now the comedy just comes naturally out of the situations, which does feel more dramedy than comedy. And dear Lord, this year did it lean into the two-part episode that just barely had any jokes in it. It was just all the drama in the world. But there was still a tone of comedy to it, which kind of ends up on that thing. So the question we have now to ask ourselves is: Fleabag gets one of those awards.
Yeah, and so just to say
so it's Good Place versus The Orville,
which I mean is The Orville, because The Good Place I agree with your comments on. I nominated it because thinking in my head that Fleabag was a dramedy. I've just, in terms of the comedies this year, I was just more impressed with the new comedy. One we didn't mention earlier but probably deserves a mention is Sick of It.
Incredible.
Which was also phenomenal.
Actually, I did think about that for
Best new comedy.
For British.
Yeah, because that was incredibly British as well.
And incredible.
Incredibly British.
Very British and very good. If you haven't seen Sick of It, just look it up. Maybe watch a trailer, see if it's your thing. But especially for our non-English viewers, you might, if you enjoy English humour, which if you're putting up with us attempting to make humour, you might really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. But when I was thinking about ongoing sitcoms, in the traditional sense, ruling Fleabag out, The Good Place was the one that I was most excited about watching week to week.
Yes.
And I completely agree with you, but the fact that that show is even airing anything is phenomenal to me.
Yes.
And an incredible achievement. But it's not been as strong as it was in its first season or its second season.
So, go on, now finish your point.
The Orville is from, I'm not up to date, but incredible from what I hear from not just you, but from all sorts of other people.
Yeah, I'm seeing some love in the comments as well. Latty's already saying Orville is really not comedy anymore. It has comedy, but it's not the primary element. He's just... We once again come back to voting systems. Oh yeah, they're always debating that, this code. Yeah, I think people... I'm not immediately seeing... My eyes aren't falling on the direct comments, but yeah, there's definitely...
I think Fleabag gets best comedy, Orville gets best dramedy.
There it is.
Done. So the final award of the night. I always feel really weird about this being the final award, because some years it's just like, oh yeah, it's obviously that. And some years it's a debate, but some years we're just like, yeah, cool. So previous winners of best drama: Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, Orange is the New Black, The Affair, Game of Thrones, This Is Us.
And...
Oh yeah, just remember my choices.
Just remembered. Last of the night, guys.
That's what
Best
I
drama.
I think, you know what, I think we'll move it next year. Because, for example, we knew that one was probably going to be a bit of a debate. So maybe if we get a sense that something will be a debate,
yeah. But Chris has chosen The Good Doctor as his best drama of the year.
And this is quite a different debate though. Dan has chosen Westworld.
Yeah.
Back.
And I said this to you earlier when we were talking about this, which is that I've kind of got a counter argument to my own choice. That's how thin it was for the returning dramas this year being good. I mean, you look at some of the other shows, and we talked about Game of Thrones, maybe dropping the ball in a few places, and Westworld is not free of that either.
Westworld was this year, because there was a big gap, wasn't there? But it was this year. Cool, fine.
The second season was very, very good. Incredible, I would argue. It aired around this time last year, so it's kind of like right on the button, I think. It was flawed. The whole season was really gripping and incredible because I really thought that it wasn't all just talk. I thought they were really going to explore in the
what it means
plot,
to be human.
not just have the characters ask the questions, but actually express and what the different characters think the answers. They're all asking those questions. No one seems to have a real definitive viewpoint yet. And when the season ended, it felt very clear that, like The Good Place, they had a very good idea for season 3, as evidenced by the trailer that aired after Game of Thrones, which fucking blew my mind. I cannot wait for season 3 of Westworld, guys. Telling you, Statics next year, Westworld, all the awards. If that trailer,
isn't it?
Yeah, but if that trailer is anything to go by, Westworld could be incredible next year. Really good. So maybe that is the plan. Maybe it's a larger plan to answer some of the bigger questions they asked in a third season. But as a person who's right now talking about that second season in regards to this award, I am going to concede it was a flawed choice because I was gripped every week, but that last episode was a bit of a disappointment because it didn't the physical plots of the year all weave together nicely, and all the time stuff worked well, and it all sort of came together into one moment, because all season there have been flashbacks and flash forwards to this moment that was going to be later in the season. All the characters converged on this one moment, and that was quite satisfying. But because it didn't get to answering any of the bigger questions, and I don't mean that in a mystery way questions, I mean like some of the more thematic stuff, it did leave me feeling cold.
So, but slim pickings, is that why you ended up picking it anyway?
A show with a flaw that I still loved and adored.
This is what this
Yeah.
comes down to.
Yeah.
Do we reward the show that took the biggest shot
Yeah.
and missed? Or do we reward the show that took exactly the same shots pretty much that it took last year, but nailed them all? Because The Good Doctor was so consistent. Their storyline about the quarantine, one of the best two-parters of the year, fantastic. The way Sean's relationship with, I can't remember her name, that could have been a cock-up, but they handled that beautifully,
Yep.
and they handled it really, really well. I mean, the person he's living with now. The storyline with the guy from the West Wing, even the fact that I can't remember the characters' names is tricky.
Yeah.
The Good Doctor was,
It's a safer choice.
week to week, probably in my opinion, the most consistent, entertaining, powerful drama. Because it did a lot of similar things to what it did in season 1, doesn't mean it didn't do them brilliantly and really effectively. Doesn't mean that the cast weren't on fire. Doesn't mean there wasn't like week to week, I've got to watch The Good Doctor. But you presumably are up to date on it.
1 or 2 behind. But
Didn't pick it. Is there a
no, I'll be honest with you. When it comes to the best drama or what I like, I prefer. There's so many of these network dramas that are quite safe. They're like soaps. They're comfort food. They're brilliant.
The
like,
Doctor is absolutely that.
Yeah, and you put it on, and it's a nice, easy, breezy. Doesn't demand a lot of you, but it entertains you. But I never come away with The Good Doctor feeling challenged. I never come away from The Good Doctor feeling like I've had a cinematic experience. I never come away from The Good Doctor feeling like it's done anything original. It does what it's doing very, very well, as you pointed out. It's very good at that.
The bigger throw or the more consistent. It's very
For me, saying this podcast, for me, it's the risk, right? We always talk about. I always talk about that. I don't want to put words in your mouth. That's not fair. I always talk about shows taking chances and doing interesting new things, and there is nothing like Westworld on television.
But in your pitch, you did criticise it.
I did.
What are the people saying? You guys got an opinion?
Well, some people are questioning the lack of Maniac getting.
Maniac I nearly nominated for Best New Drama. So Maniac's only had a season, so that was eligible for Best New Drama. And I really truly...
I thought about it for cast as well.
It was my, brilliant cast. It was genuinely my second choice for Best New Drama. And maybe based on the discussion we had, I should have fought for Maniac over Killing Eve. Because I think Maniac...
I think I enjoyed Maniac more than Killing Eve, so you'd probably have
It would have been more of a fight. Absolutely agree with Maniac. It would have qualified for Best New Drama, not this particular one.
And it was the other shows that were up for that award were just a little bit better.
Yeah, I respect. To be honest with you, Killing Eve versus Maniac for me was a bit like this discussion of Good Doctor versus Westworld. Do you reward the show that took the bigger swing, which is Maniac, or the show that was just week to week consistently brilliant?
We're up to 17 again.
Consistent 17.
Guess Star Trek Discovery could be considered. Absolutely was. I discovered. Star Trek Discovery was like mentally considered for basically every award. Like cast, yeah, it's an incredible cast. But that one's better. And then it was like drama, yeah, it was a really good show this year. But that show was a little bit better. So yeah, I think Star Trek Discovery is a really interesting mix of The Good Doctor and Westworld, in that it is taking some risks, but it's not taking as many risks as Westworld. But as a result, the final product is more consistent. So maybe it should have been nominated for this above Westworld. But I'd respect the big swing in the miss. And it wasn't a complete miss. That's the other thing. There is a quibble that final episode did not tie the themes together in the way I hope they were. But that quibble is easily disputed when you say, well, there's another season coming and it looks like they're doing something really cool with it. So
you're judging it before you're judging chapter 2 of
exactly. So
I think it probably should be Westworld. I think that's fair. Yeah, I think go for Westworld.
We go for Westworld?
Yeah.
There we go.
Pips at the post is tricky. because actually the clear winner.
Yeah.
And that winner is Game of Thrones.
Do you think?
Yeah, it got nominated for best scene, it got nominated for best performance, it got nominated for best cast, and it got nominated for worst execution. It's still an award, even though it's a negative
It
award.
won that one. Can it get pipped at the post if it won one?
Oh, that's true. Oh, it did win that one.
Yeah.
The winner in my heart, I'd like to be Killing Eve, because I think Jodie Connor could have easily got best performance, Sandra Oh could have easily got best performance, and Killing Eve could have easily got best drama, and it could have easily got best British either. But it's probably not the show we've named. What's the
No,
what
we've
is it there?
named Killing Eve.
Do you
quite
think
a
that
lot.
you're alright because you're not as big on Killing Eve?
Someone's pointed out, is the Big Bang Theory picture here to troll me?
No, the Big Bang Theory picture.
You say that while you explain. Go on.
The Big Bang Theory
I'm going to get
picture
another prop.
is up in here because what was that? Oh right, Jess is, as I mentioned on the show a few times, Jess is a big fan of the Big Bang Theory, and that was a gift given to her a number of years ago now. So that's why it's here, because it's in the house, and it added a nice amount of colour. And equally, what Dan's holding now is another piece of Big Bang Theory memorabilia.
That's up in the room. Yeah, it's a script with signatures on it.
Yeah, it's a cool gift. That was a gift from a friend of ours.
Which one is it? Is it the pilot episode?
I don't know. Does it not say?
No, it doesn't. Well, there you go. Big Bang
There you go.
Theory, very much Laura Gold Brady. There you go.
Oh wait, hold on. Can't say.
Hmm?
Oh, no, it doesn't say.
No. That's straight.
It is,
Anyway,
mate. That's
all
why.
right.
So it's not I'm aware Dan isn't, but we both agreed it added a nice backdrop.
Yeah, it's colour for the shot. I agree, Killing Eve. I think it's the show
Yeah.
that came up the most and didn't win anything that probably deserved to. I like with Sex Education, I have to acknowledge when I'm not wrong, because I don't dislike Killing Eve.
And to be honest with you,
But I do
yes,
enjoy
it's
it.
not two-way, but I feel like Killing It, like you were with Westworld that year, when it was like, fuck, Westworld didn't win anything. That's how I'd be about Killing Eve. I'd be like, how did a show that I personally loved so much.
Because actually, have you got the previous picture?
Yes.
Those
So
winners.
previous winners are Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Fargo, Westworld, and The Orville.
Yeah.
A show that I loved so much personally. B, I genuinely feel, and I know not necessarily your thing in some parts, but you couldn't disagree with its quality. And 3, made the cultural impact that it made, and the impact on people. And we're not, again, like you say, it seems like the world as a whole loves it.
Yeah.
So pipped to the post this year, Killing Eve.
Boom. Right.
We're done. Well, we're not done. You've got something planned. I'm really cagey about this all day. I feel like now he wishes he wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
Whatever he's going to do.
I do wish I wasn't going to do it,
So
Chris.
why do it, Dan?
Because I prepared it, and I just... yeah.
I feel like we're going to end on a really awkward note.
We are. No, that's happening. That's happening right now. Okay, so I started writing this months ago as a joke, and then forgot about it. And then when we were thinking about a song for this, I was kind of getting worried that we weren't going to have time to do one today. So I started to...
Nailed it. I think you'll agree.
Yeah, I think you'll all agree. So I finished the thing. It's not very good.
Okay.
It's a bit awkward. The premise is weird.
This is Westworld. Big swing, but ultimately
Yeah.
a miss.
Nadia hates this.
Okay.
Doesn't bode well.
Okay.
I'm not going to look at the comments while I do this.
Okay.
Because I
Go
think
for
that's going to be... I think that's going to be
This
it.
is weird, isn't it? It's a weird way to end it.
So, Chris,
Yep.
literally, and I'm not even lying right now, my heart is racing.
Okay.
And I'm not even kidding you, because I'm
Okay.
really nervous about doing this. I'm a big fan of diss tracks, Chris,
Right.
but I'm too nice.
Right.
I'm not going to diss anyone, that's not fair. Who am I
Right.
to diss anyone?
Yeah.
I wrote a diss
You
track
just-
for myself.
You're just a man on YouTube talking to 17 people.
Yeah, I dissed myself, really, I'm just by existing. I wrote a diss track for
Yeah.
myself, Which
Well,
I'm
that's
going-
a weird thing to do.
which
right?
I'm going to deliver as the character MCICU. Because not only does he see you, but his burns are going to send you there.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm committed to this, haven't I?
Yeah, I feel like you're gonna go redder than I went when someone called me hot. Gonna look at you throughout.
Please don't.
Just because he's not reading your comments doesn't mean I can't look at him.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Why did I do this to myself? Deep breaths down so you don't fuck it up by being too nervous.
What's bad is you're not playing this online.
Oh wow, you're doing this shit again? You can't even pretend to hide your own disdain? It started as a joke, but then became sincere. Yeah, you used that one already, get the fuck out of here. Whipping out that goddamn uke year after year, acting like self-deprecation makes you some kind of pioneer. Well, I got news for you, let me make this crystal clear. The round table's got you beat in every single hemisphere. What's that, Chris? You got a point to make? It's time for Dan to blunder in with this idiotic take. You step on your toes, you feel like you need a break? Well, here's a tip. Shut that fat fucker up by feeding him some cake. So point, you'll be forced to backtrack. So much self-loathing, can't even listen to the playback. Sometimes gets lucky and makes a point that could sway, but he'll talk so much it'll take him an hour to convey. Can't sing, can't rap, can't play, but Dan will try to do it all anyway. Dancing around and round, the point he goes, or where he'll stop, not even the man himself knows. Can't sing, can't rap, can't play all the words in the world, but nothing to say. So afraid of his own thoughts, he won't stop talking, hiding an existential crisis behind his squawking. Fuck you, Dan, get a grip, this shit is wacky. Eating burgers like you're hoping to escape via heart attack. So tragic, not sure whether I should laugh or cry or finish you off with more of this goddamn drive-by. Hey Dan, you can have 1,000 ideas, each one distracting from the next, throwing away your years. But if you don't execute, you'll confirm your fears. You're just a failure with 1,000 potential wasted careers. Why not just write some more jokes that'll fall flat? And remind me, where the fuck is Max Save the Galaxy at? You think this shit's cute? Let's review. No one finds this self-deprecation shit as charming as you do. The saddest part is that Dan's done all of this cause he thinks he's deflecting by rapping and writing this diss, taking the bullets from the chamber of everybody's fun. The stupid fox just loaded it and handed them the gun. Can't sing, can't rap, can't play, but Dan will try to do it all anyway. Dancing around and round, the point he goes and where it stops, not even the man himself knows. Can't sing, can't rap, can't play all the words in the world, but nothing to say. So afraid of his own thoughts, he won't stop talking, hiding an existential crisis behind his squawking. Can't sing, can't rap, can't play, but Dan will try to do it all anyway. Can't sing, can't rap, can't play all the words in the world, but nothing to say.
Why do you rap in an American accent?
That's the character.
Oh, okay. Right,
MCICU. And Dan's back.
I'm just waiting for the doorbell to go. As the neighbours are like, sorry, are you rapping now? Well, I don't agree with it. It's very harsh. I think you're way too harsh on yourself.
This is why Nadia doesn't find it very funny.
Yeah, you're very too harsh on yourself. But you know, the actual rapping, the rhyming, the chorus was catchy.
Rhyming?
I like the rhyming, right? The chorus was catchy. I was legitimately at one point I heard a noise. I was like, shit, is that the neighbours banging on the door?
What time is it? It's 9:30.
But I've got kids.
Yeah. So there you go. That was
sorry if you heard. Yeah. I think you're too harsh on yourself, buddy.
Oh yeah, no, it's all true though.
It's not true. But
No.
I respect the skill. Yeah.
Well, it's one of those things where again I was like a diss track.
Yeah.
I'm not going to diss anyone else. That's not fair.
Yeah.
You know, you can't defend yourself in a
well,
song.
next year you should diss me. Or we should diss each other.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah. What are the comments
I've
say?
been too scared to look.
Let's have a look.
I brought them up, but I
Let's
haven't.
Let's have a look.
I'll let you.
Do you want me to look?
Yeah, you look. Tell me.
Oh, great. With pleasure.
Yeah. And one last of these for good measure. I threw the card.
So, let's have a look.
You're gonna have to go back because it went on for like 8 minutes. Or it feels like it did anyway.
Right, I agree with Westworld. This had better be good. Show quality aside, that's pretty cool. Sophie sent some claps. Sophie! BB is not as good as... Not as rich as people say, but so this is Big Bang. 3 hours of live stream. 18 views, 11 likes. Oh, 3 hours of live stream still, again, 18 viewers, 11 likes. Thank you, Crown. But it was painful to watch most of the season. Big Bang Theory. Oh, 19 viewers, nice. Sorry.
Oh, goes for
I'm
the while the rap was
disappointed. I'm
happening.
disappointed Russian Doll didn't get anything because I loved it, but I can't think of where it would have fit. Right, so this is when. Right, so I'm assuming based on this comment, this is kind of the beginning of you doing your thing. Right, I'm scared. I was just guessing.
That's fair.
Feeling good about this.
Yeah. You're
Owned
on.
it. Chris is getting more and more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I can feel it. I see you. Lol. Both really are. I think there's a wolf emoji. I believe in you, Dan. Oh boy. There we go. Go, Dan. Best. This is where doing it live was a bold choice.
Yes.
Ooh, lol.
Yeah.
Oh, talking about self-deprecation, how meta. Okay, we've got 2 more likes.
From the
likes-
rap.
the likes-
Obviously, the
likes
rap.
have got up.
Yeah. That's the rap.
Self-deprecating, your own self-deprecating. Gotta get that youth vote, boy.
I should have worn a hoodie and
This
rapped
is-
about Trump.
This is good. And another, soon would be a 1 like to view ratio. For a live rendition, this is actually on point, I agree. Yeah. Oh, Dan, you're killing it. I agree with all of
Oh,
these.
this is for I'm
Yeah,
so
truly.
embarrassed.
Yeah, truly. Where is Max Save the Galaxy at?
Soon.
Yeah, that was pretty well written, honestly. Yup. Ironic self-diss is a new one. I want to hear Chris try and rap too. Just check out previous Static Awards.
Oh yeah, you've done some
I've
rapping.
done some rapping.
Oh dear. Oh.
Hold on.
Oh, I think I've settled.
Hold on. This is for. Oh, I've gone up.
What have you done?
I want to Chris try and rap too. Good job. Shouldn't have hyped it negatively. I agree with all these. What do you mean ironic? I'm worried about Dan's self-esteem now. The ILA account is mesmerising. This is funny. I know. Self-deprecation with negativity.
Yeah.
You've
That is
got a
very
knack
nice.
for hooks. The song came out just as I had gotten the intro out of my head. Love the deep lore of ICU. Dan, you better read the comments before you go. Pitchforks out. Scroll up. Need to be kinder to yourself. Nicely done, Dan. Your lyrics are always clever and gay. Good, Chris. Good. Season. Don't diss yourself anymore.
That's a good idea.
Diss tracks need to be a yearly thing now. We can diss each other. Yes, the rap did indeed get you 2 more likes. That's not even a joke. Okay, Dan, that made me sad.
Oh, who said that?
Hi guys, looking forward to all the blind spot love. There you go.
Who said that? Who said that?
Autumn Bime? I'm not sure.
Oh, Autumn!
Autumn.
What? Autumn's watching.
Yeah.
Hello. That's really. Oh, that's much more embarrassing. That's a person I know in real life who has now heard me do that. Oh no.
I mean, you chose to do it live on the internet.
What was
I thought that was good. I agree with all those comments.
What was
though,
I
lyrically.
thinking? What was I
Lyrically,
thinking?
Someone else commented. I don't know if that's.
Oh no, a person I really know saw that.
And just a reminder for anyone listening, if you go to youtube.com/nothingbutstatic, you can see that. So even if you just give us like 3 more likes for the ratio, that would be good.
We had no. It's so funny that when we put this up as a podcast, it's like hundreds of thousands of downloads, and yet we do it live. And there's. I mean, we love you all.
Oh mate, I'm so
18 of
pleased,
you.
mate.
Yeah. We said before we started that we would be lucky to get 10.
Honestly, genuine. This isn't hyperbolic. More than 250, 1,000 people watching it, I would rather be doing it to you, 18.
Yeah.
I mean that with complete sincerity.
Someone's just told us to give me a hug from forever.
Come on, this is from the listeners, mate.
Go on, buddy. That's the awkwardest hug ever.
we
That's
are-
right over.
we
Look,
are
I can
warm.
see it now. I think that's. Oh,
that is
we were on
awkward.
delay.
That's me realise you're warm.
Yeah, we're all warm. Okay, well, thanks very much for watching. This has been the Statics. At least this part. We may stay on the stream for another couple of minutes.
Yeah, well, I think we
just to
should
thank
record
everyone.
ourselves pre-warning listeners that there are moments where the live feed goes and we acknowledge it, or are you going to try and cut some of that stuff out?
Probably not.
But then we should record an apology, but let's not make it too rambly. Maybe we shouldn't do one.
We
Although
shouldn't.
that's better than...
We can record that tomorrow. That's fine. Anyway, thank you
Although
very
I'll
much.
be there to stop. Hi, this is Dan. Few comments.
This is.
So,
Thank you very much,
What
everyone, for
happened
watching.
is we recorded this live, and we also rebroadcasted live on YouTube. That's on YouTube at youtube.com/nothingbutstatic. You can watch it there.
I can't believe Autumn saw that. Sorry, I'm not gonna get that thought out of my head. Right.
What
Anyway.
did you think? Autumn's commented what she thought. Yes, Chris, thank you. Drunk will, from your point of view, Drunk will come 2 weeks after.
Maybe a week, depending on how quickly we record. But yeah, within the week or two, we'll have the drunk episode up. We're going to record it tomorrow while we're in the same room and still at the same location. But the drunk episode won't be just yet.
Monty Boosh managed to just catch the end. Quality time to join us. Hi Dan was autumn. Thank you guys. It was fun listening to the Statics live. Love yo. Is that just to Dan or to both of us, autumn? Chris. Okay, I'll just read the.
We can't just read these on the podcast.
Yeah, that's
We'll keep doing this afterwards. But thank you very much for listening. This has been the Statics for this year. Thank you so much, everyone who's been sticking with us.
Honestly,
hopefully,
so appreciate your support.
Hopefully, the live element of this episode didn't actually spoil the Statics fun for those of you listening on podcasts.
I'm sure Jess will tell me if it did.
Yeah, I'm sure she will. So yeah, for listeners on the podcast version of this, thank you so much. For the full feed, you can head over to youtube.com/nothingbutstatic.uk.
And thank you again for the 18 people that are still here. And I firmly believe many, I think there is a consistent 15 of you that have watched this entire thing.
Which, dear Lord.
And that is awesome. And we thank you so much.
Thank you. Alright, well, thanks very much. I've been Dan Doolan.
I've been Chris Billingham.
We'll see you next time on the drunk episode of Nothing But Static. And there we go.
We've got the bonus bit.
Oh, bonus bit? Can it just be us going,
Yeah, I think we don't
need a bonus bit. There's enough there.
Alright.
Right. Oh my god, that was something. Thank you, everyone. Like, genuinely, that was incredible.
Oh shit, I don't think I was recording.
No, I'm joking. Don't worry. I'm glad we got that on camera.
Really joking.
Sure.
Don't worry about it.
That was fun. Thank you. Yeah, that was a great bonus bit. We got enough. Yeah, we did. Oh, we didn't plug the Patreon like we never do. We're terrible. I'm so glad that got my face. So glad they got my face. Yeah, thank you everyone for. I am dying. This is what a person breaking down looks like in real time. This is the destruction of a man who wrote a thing, and in his head it was funny. And then he slowly realised it wasn't, but then he.
I feel like you realised that before you did the thing.
I know, but I just felt like
funny.
because I spent so much time.
But it was funny.
I spent so much time working on it that I was just like, well, I know I have to do it. I wrote that, and there's a lot of words in that rap.
Yeah, I was impressed. I legitimately think it was impressive.
Yeah.
A bizarre end to an awards show. I mean, I've never seen. I'd be surprised.
This is both of us from her previous colour.
Oh, thank you.
Can't believe. Sorry, you're going to text me later and say things. I'm sure.
I think what we've is Dan hates himself and I'm hot.
Both of those things true.
What thing to
Both of those things are true. I mean, look. I'm sorry, guys. Guys and ladies, just saying this hunk of manly off the market. Off the market. Getting married next year.
Sophie.
Oh,
I'm joking.
That's
obviously
Chris. Yeah. I know he's getting Me Too next.
I'm just singing someone's name. It's a callback.
Yeah, in context to that moment though, it was
a callback.
Awkward and weird.
It's a callback. That's all I was going for.
It would have been better to call back the name of the person who said you were hot. That would have made more sense.
Oh, I don't know if I found their name. I was too.
Ruben Caballero. I'd flow down. How many raps have I done? Oh, far too many. I am known as a famous British rapper. You won't have learned me if you're not in England, but in England I'm like I'm up
He's
there.
done so many raps he can't even name a rapper on the spot. That's how committed to the art Dan is. That's how committed to rap Dan is. He can't name a rapper.
I've done several on this podcast, and that's
We both
it.
have, yeah. The Statics in particular.
I don't think it's still talking Mike.
Regularly inspire. Shit, I don't know.
You've not undone the thing, have you?
Yeah.
Look, I've got it on. I can do this. Chris, you're a super professional camera looker, mic talker. You never stop talking until you're no longer recording, Mike.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Cram. That's a very good point.
Yeah, there you go. Repellent Tutu is also from England, is confirmed. For those of you who aren't that, of course, a famous British rapper. It's known. I wear a hoodie.
Do this. Name me 6 rappers.
Let me name 6 rappers. Okay, like just in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scroobius Pip, Royster 59, who is awesome. I mean, I could cheat and go for like,
deep cut.
I'm not going deep cut, it's just that these are the people I've been listening to
Yeah.
recently. So we should challenge Gambino, I've been listening to a lot recently. I guess Lin-Manuel counts. I listen to his stuff a lot. You're at Hamilton. I don't know how many I'm up to.
That says a lot about your rap club, I think. Naming Lin-Manuel. He is a rapper though. You are right.
Yeah, he does rapping. Watsky's good. I like Logic. Logic's great.
Logic is great. Rex 32 is great.
Open Mike Eagle.
Yeah.
Really good. Yeah, I can name some
Fair enough.
rappers.
Yeah, fair enough. I take it back.
This is a weird thing to be doing on the internet.
Yeah, this is a weird end because obviously also this shit is still in the video.
Yeah, this. Oh yeah. These could easily be made up. I wouldn't know. No, go on Spotify. You'll see. Royster59's really good.
Yeah. Actually, I haven't heard them. Him, I didn't know.
See. Me
Right.
neither. Right. Is anyone before we go? Anyone got any questions? Burning questions before we escape? While you guys can ask us directly. Oh, Tiny Tempo. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not
not Tiny
still
Tempo.
huge though.
No, not as big as he once was.
No.
Neither's like Dizzy Rascal.
Dizzy Rascal's definitely a.
I feel bad, but Dizzy Rascal had some tunes. I would argue.
I've seen Dizzy Rascal
I would argue song for song, and I know he's got more albums, but Dizzy Rascal has more tunes than Stormzy. And
I
yet
don't like-
Stormzy's the one that's headlining.
Yeah, but
Glastonbury.
somebody's the man at the moment, isn't he? Dizzy
Yeah.
Rascal was up there when he was.
Yeah. Well, he never headlined Glastonbury.
Chris, when will you go into the Discord again?
I will make more effort, and I apologise. And don't. It's no reflection on my affection for all of you.
No, it's a reflection on the fact that he has a social life.
No, it's not. It's not that either.
Yeah, it definitely
Saying
is.
that.
Definitely is. I'm like, Chris, you free to record tonight? No, I got plans. Oh, free to record tonight? No, I got plans.
I'm always moving shit to
That's-
record.
That's exactly moving shit. Chris is like, Dan, you free to record? I'm like, yup. Whatever. I'm good. What's a social life? Yeah, Latty has pointed out, how could somebody support MBS maybe with some sort of Patreon membership system? Patreon.com/nothingbutstatic. If we freeze still enough, will it look like it's frozen? I couldn't hold it longer than that. Chris has actual friends, yeah, true. It'd be better if we froze mid. Couldn't hold it for longer.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, how are you guys? We're good.
We're tired.
We had time, but
My
I'm
back's
we're
hurting.
we're in
I've got
good
energy.
We're in
Yeah,
good
yeah.
spirits. Thank you, buddy. That was awesome.
Yeah, no, that was good. I feel like we didn't get as emotional at the end. What you did?
Different kind of emotion.
Yeah.
I basically saved myself thousands on therapy sessions. Just did a little rap instead.
I don't think therapy's a bad option.
I'll do the rap. A genuine freeze. Are we there? Are we back?
No, we might be back now.
We're back? We are. We're not gone, I promise.
I think we're back now.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Cool.
Dear Lord. That was
That was amazing. I don't know if
we-
people thought we were pausing, but we weren't.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate. Anyway.
But
we are
thank
back.
you so much.
Yeah, we've got to go because this
Thank
is
you
we're
so much.
wasting now. At this point, we're wasting your time, but we
Yeah.
do appreciate everyone who hung out with us during
Definitely,
the podcast.
we aren't going to do this with the drunk because it would be carnage. But we will see you in a week's time probably for the drunk Nothing But Static after party, which we're going to do in person,
Which we've never done
which
before.
we've never done.
So it could
Yeah,
get quite messy.
It could get messy.
I think take the word "could" out of that sentence. Add the word "will."
Oh, we also have nothing to talk about. So if anyone's got anything, if they want to put that in the Discord before we go tomorrow afternoon, evening-ish.
Not a waste of time at all. Do more live stuff. Do you think we could do this sort of thing more often?
Yeah, I think we can. I think there's room for that.
Yeah. Get the technical bugs worked out.
Yeah. There's definitely room for that.
Stream that 1, 2. There we go.
But you know what's madness? Like 15 people chose to do this on a Friday night. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful.
Or a
Thank
Friday
you so
afternoon
much.
for those of you in
Still
America.
crazy. Anyway,
That's
thank you so
incredible.
much. We're gonna go.
Are you sure you can do more of this? Yeah.
We'll find a way.
Yeah. We'll be dead. It'll be just us like sprawled out like we're giving up.
Yeah, I'd like to think of a better sitting position.
You're still just, mate. Just
Yeah.
accept that it's not worth.
Professional. I'm still leading. I don't need to lead
I'm
anymore.
gonna take it away. I'm just gonna.
Because we'll get that much mixed up, won't we? Right. See you later. Thank you
Okay,
so
guys.
much.
Thank you so much. Have a nice evening, and we'll see you guys. We have no social lives either. Yeah, but thanks everyone. We'll see you guys around. Enjoy. The full podcast goes live on Monday, Sunday, and then hopefully I'm doing. And this has been a weird live stream thing. Awkward ending. No, just go. No, you know, it's even more awkward about this ending.
You've got to get up.
I'm gonna get up and turn it off. This is just just gonna end with me awkwardly trundling a camera and making it go. You know what's even worse, Chris? I don't actually know how to turn it off. I'm just gonna film you awkwardly. How do I stop it?